71%. Chapter 341 Crazy Configuration. Chapter 341 Crazy Configuration. According to Romic's information, there are not 10,000 Faka crystal nucleus veins in the entire subspace. Even if the four evil gods add up, it is far from reaching this number. What's more, most of the mineral veins in the hands of the four evil gods are not even as vast as Qin Sheng's discovery. The crystal nucleus veins of more than 60,000 kilometers can be regarded as extremely large in the entire subspace. Big presence. With the help of the power of the system, Qin Sheng can multiply by 10,000 times. In this way, Qin Sheng will have almost inexhaustible Falca crystal nuclei in his hands. In this way, the Falca crystal nucleus in Qin Sheng's hands can act on the entire subspace. Among them, Killing Heaven is a weird world that mainly focuses on killing, but it is considered to be the territory commanded by the three evil gods, Changtian, corruption, and blissful heaven, and the head of Fang Ni enjoys the joy of money the most. Secondly, Nurgle needs a sufficient amount of Falca crystal nucleus to obtain enough poison from the hands of the other three evil gods to carry out its crazy configuration. As for Tzeentch, even though he is well versed in the past and the present, and knows everything, he can't be vulgar. In the midst of changing the sky, Tzeentch not only needs to conduct research on intrigue and deceit, but also needs to be proficient in black magic, and the understanding and cultivation of black magic cannot do without the help of the Falca crystal nucleus. Thinking about it this way, as long as Qin Sheng has enough Falca crystal nuclei, he can even fully control all economic trends in the entire subspace. This is not a fantasy. For those who have enough wealth, it is too easy to manipulate the economic trend. As the first Falca crystal nucleus was mined, the system's prompt sounded. Congratulations on obtaining the Falca crystal nucleus X1. 10,000 times increase. Congratulations on obtaining the Falca crystal nucleus X 10,000. Qin Sheng had a smile on his face. If this continues, the richest man is just around the corner. All the mined Falca crystal nuclei were sent to the abandoned nest in Destruction Heaven according to Qin Sheng's instructions. After Qin Sheng arrived at the place where the Falca crystal nucleus vein was located, he called the Xuanyuan creation immediately, and only the Xuanyuan creation could help Qin Sheng transport strategic materials. At the same time, in this land of mineral veins, the flow of time is not exaggerated. Even if something happens in Destruction Heaven, it can be rushed back immediately. Compared with the current Xuanyuan genesis, the span of space is too simple. At this moment, Xuanyuan Xuangxi has been evolving towards its main body more and more, and even Qin Sheng is doubting whether it will end up with Xuanyuan Xuangxi, which is part of the body of the demon of the plane. If it continues to develop according to this process number, will be more powerful than its body. Nearly half a month passed, and the high-dimensional suppression that sealed the two corn demons gradually collapsed under the torrent of time and space in the subspace. Medag and Skarbrand lost the trace of Qin Sheng, and naturally they were nowhere to be found. They searched for Qin Sheng's whereabouts like headless chickens in this subspace. It is precisely because of this that Qin Sheng enjoys leisure in this land of mine veins. Even in the subspace, this place can be regarded as barren and barren, so even the wandering Tzeentch and Nurgle will not come here. Qin Sheng also intends to temporarily withdraw his edge and make a fortune in silence. Qin Sheng made a lot of money in half a month. According to Qin Sheng's calculation, he now has 17 billion Falca crystal nuclei. According to Romic's calculation, Qin Sheng now the assets he holds are even comparable to corn. The Falca crystal nucleus in the hands of corn is the least among the four evil gods, and this is only half a month. Only less than 1/10 of the entire ore vein has been mined. If the entire ore vein is fully mined, Qin Sheng's property is even comparable to the entire subspace. At that time, it will be truly rich and powerful. A financial crisis belonging to the subspace is coming. And on this day, Hetty suddenly knocked on Qin Sheng's door. Come in. In the temporary house, Qin Sheng was sitting on a bench thinking about the next deployment in the subspace, while Hetty said nervously, "Emperor, the next thing to say might be a little weird." Hearing this, Qin Sheng immediately became interested. What's the matter? Tell me. When we were mining the veins, we found a cave, and when we dived into it, we found a small planet connected to the subspace, and on that planet. A flash of astonishment flashed in Qin Sheng's eyes. Qin Sheng already knew that many places in the subspace are connected to the present universe, but this is the first time Qin Sheng has heard of the planets connected in the subspace. On that planet, there is a human race, and it has its own set of civilization rules, orderly, and does not belong to any party under the control of the space evil god. As soon as Heidi finished speaking, Qin Sheng suddenly stood up from the bench. Where is it? Show me. At first Qin Sheng even thought that Hetty had done something wrong, so he was coy, but now it seems that this matter really needs to be taken seriously. There is no lack of traces of the human race in the subspace, whether it is the subordinates of Korn or Zinch Nurgle, and the most numerous are of course the subordinates of Slanesh. As the human race that can be regarded as a large race in the entire universe, it is naturally the target of subspace erosion, so it is not uncommon to see human race in the subspace. However, what surprised Qin Sheng was that, according to what Hetty said, these human races did not belong to the commanders of any evil god forces. System rules, no good. This kind of thing fell into Qin Sheng's ears. If it wasn't for Hetty's words, Qin Sheng would even scoff. On Qin Sheng's shoulder, the mechanical bird Ramak chirped. Emperor, that may be the Wahou human race. The Wahou human race, what kind of people are they? This is a legendary in the subspace. It is recorded in many ancient books of Swanbiantian, but I only know a little about it. The birth of the subspace comes from the will of all races, among which the spirit race and human race are the leaders. It is precisely because of this that many chaotic demons have human-like characteristics. If the human race enters the subspace, it will be eroded by the subspace in an instant, but the spirit race will not, and the offspring born of the spirit race and the human race also have no such worries. After a pause, Romick went on to say, and the child born together by the spirit race and the human race is the Wahou human race. 71%. Chapter 342 Lord of the Sun, Inexplicable Mission. Chapter 342 Lord of the Sun, Inexplicable Mission. As the group of people went to the Faka crystal nucleus vein, they dived all the way. In the depths of the vein, a hole with a diameter of 100 meters wide appeared in Qin Sheng's sight. Waves of extremely weird power emanating from the hole made Qin Sheng look sideways at it. Have the tactical doll girls conducted a survey? It has been explored, and there is no big problem. Those human races fled immediately after seeing us. Hearing Haida's answer, Qin Kun nodded. Now that it has been explored, it means that there is no major problem on the other side of the hole. Of course, the appearance of such a place in this subspace is already the biggest problem. Emperor, the kinetic energy here is too weird, we still need to be careful. Ramak reminded, and Qin Sheng nodded. In the hole, Qin Sheng felt a little strange about the movement of kinetic energy. There is no so-called gravity or any force in the subspace. But at the same time, because of the inversion of the underlying logic rules of disorder, in this subspace, everything operates on the spirit body. It can be said that the subspace is a space between the physical realm and the spiritual realm, and is more inclined to the spiritual realm. But in the hole in front of him, not only are there various forces, but these forces seem to be more perfect than the current universe. Qin Sheng raised his hand to signal Hetty to stay outside the hole and go forward by himself. Today's Qin Sheng's physical strength is comparable to that of a 6th-level monster. Even with the blessing of the illusory will body, Qin Sheng can erupt with even stronger power. No matter how dangerous the cave is, he can calmly face it, right? Ramak said. The Wahou human race has disappeared in the subspace for countless years. Since the second disaster of the spirit race, I have never heard anyone mention that they can meet again now. After a pause, there was a tinge of excitement in Ramak's tone. The research of science and technology of the Eldar race is much better than that of the subspace, and it can even be said to have broken the shackles of the 7th-level civilization in the present universe, reaching the A higher level. If there is an inheritance belonging to the spirit race in this cave, it will be a great harvest for us. Hearing Romak's words, Qin Sheng couldn't help being a little interested. As he stepped through the hole, he entered the world that looked like another planet. All the surrounding forces were superimposed on Qin Sheng's body, making Qin Sheng seem to have returned to the universe in an instant, but at the same time, there is no small difference. No matter where in the present universe, there is indeed no escape from the universal gravitation in the underlying logic of physics. When gravitons can be completely controlled, it will also be a huge span for the improvement of civilization and technology. On this planet, although Qin Sheng could feel his body being absorbed to the surface, Qin Sheng was not restrained by the gravitational force from the inside out. Qin Sheng made it impossible for Qin Sheng to leave the surface. Qin Sheng's eyes shone brightly, and it was the first time he had seen such a weird force. In addition, what made Qin Sheng even more astonished on this planet was that mental manipulation of substances had been involved. Qin Sheng had never heard of what kind of race the spirit race was, but on this planet, Qin Sheng could already imagine how powerful the spirit race was at its peak. In Qin Sheng's mind, the idea of taking a step had just arisen, and he had already taken a step forward before he even had time to manipulate his body to move. At the same time, Qin Sheng seems to have taken a step towards every direction around him, and only when thoughts arise, will Qin Sheng's direction be determined. If this heavy use can be overcome, the consciousness can completely control the weapon array, and the direction of the attack can only be determined when the thought arises. How should the enemy respond? Qin Sheng thought so, but at this moment, Qin Sheng's psychic energy began to operate independently. Behind Qin Sheng, a round of pale sun rose, when the brilliance of this psychic energy fell on the entire planet. In an instant, countless naked human races rushed out from the dark corners and knelt down to worship Qin Sheng. Seeing this, the corner of Qin Sheng's mouth twitched. What's the situation? The power of psionic energy originally comes from the spirit race. Even the four evil gods subverted the entire spirit race and gained almost endless power. And these humble human races are descendants of the spirit race. Seeing such a powerful and the pure spiritual energy naturally regards you as a god. When Ramak explained, Qin Sheng coughed lightly. Get up. After the words fell, the Waho people looked at each other and slowly got up. Kaluadadalma, Suokaluoliluo. Among the Waho human race, an old man who seemed to be of high moral standing came out and babbled a lot to Qin Sheng. The strange thing was that although Qin Sheng couldn't understand what the old man was saying, he could clearly understand what the old man meant. We have been waiting for you for countless years. A gleam flashed in Qin Sheng's eyes. You knew I would come here. On the stone tablet in my family, the arrival of the Lord of the Blue Sun is engraved, and I think that you are the Lord of the Blue Sun. Hearing this, Qin Sheng still didn't speak. The old man fell to his knees with a plop. Lord, please save my family. The elders of the spirit race were imprisoned in the frozen land thousands of miles away, and countless years have passed by now. As the descendants of the spirit race and the human race, we have tried our best to continue the dolphin race. But now, we are already like aboriginals, and we can no longer contribute to the development of science and technology. With this appearance, we dare not even leave this simple place of residence. Quote, Lord, only you can save the elders of the spirit race. I hope you accept my request. As the old man said, Qin Sheng suddenly felt that one head was too big. How could he have imagined that when he entered this cave, he would encounter such a thing? Qin Sheng helped the old man up. I will conquer the subspace, and if I can solve the elders of your spirit race, I will naturally do my best. Thank you, Lord of the Sky. We would like to regard you as our leader, and hope that you can lead us out of here. Qin Sheng narrowed his eyes slightly. Can I see your planet? Please. After all, this is Qin Sheng's first contact with the Waho human race. Although these natives are the descendants of the spirit race and the human race, what relationship do they have with Qin Sheng? If he wanted to harm Qin Sheng, then Qin Sheng would kill him mercilessly. Qin Sheng walked slowly on this planet. Behind Qin Sheng, the old man followed unhurriedly. Attention. 71%. Chapter 343 Existence and Non-Existence, Supreme Philosophy. Chapter 343 Existence and Non-Existence, Supreme Philosophy. There is a picture engraved on the stone tablet. It is a round sun reflected behind a villain, and in front of this villain, a group of innocent human races bow down. There is even a lifelike bird standing on the shoulder of the little man, which is exactly the same as Qin Sheng's. Qin Sheng was struck by lightning. I don't know how many years this stone tablet has been standing here, and what is engraved on it is exactly what happened today. This steel, it was passed down by the elders of the spirit race. The old man replied. Hearing this, Qin Sheng asked Ramak, what kind of existence is the spirit race? The original spirit race, as the most powerful civilization in the Milky Way, could even touch the ultimate limit of the Feng universe, but the coming of the spirit race disaster led the spirit race to the road of degeneration and destruction. Everything in the subspace is derived from the collapse of the spirit race. The more corrupt the spirit race is, the stronger the power in the subspace will be. Even the four great evil gods are born from the fallen will of the spirit race, born. But I only know so much. Before I was loyal to Tzeentch, the last trace of the will of the Eldar race was exhausted. These are all recorded in the ancient book of Swantian. 7. Romak's answer made Qin Sheng even more curious about how prosperous the spirit race was. Today's four great evil gods are already the most powerful forces in this universe. Whether it is Khorne Slanesh or Tzeentch Nurgle, as long as their true deity descends into the present universe, they are even enough to crush the entire universe, devouring everything in the universe. Today's Mara is the best example. As the abandoned fifth evil god, Mara can wreak havoc in the universe and cause disaster to the world just by relying on a little power recovered. And these evil gods turned out to be born out of the fallen will of the spirit race, which can be regarded as terrifying. Qin Sheng shook his head, no longer thinking about these things that are completely out of reach now. The old man slowly followed behind Qin Sheng. There are more than 10 stone tablets like this, each of which is more than 10 meters high, eat and stand for countless years. There are more or less scenes engraved on the rest of the stele, but Qin Sheng couldn't understand what happened in it, until on the last stele, Qin Sheng clearly saw a creature that looked like a giant jellyfish, swaying among the stars in the space, and in front of the creature, a naked villain was looking at it. In an instant, Qin Sheng's spiritual ocean once again buzzed, but it didn't come from the illusory will body. A memory from a long time ago reappeared in Qin Sheng's spiritual ocean again. The almost transparent giant exuded a faint purple light, and the closer the tentacles were to the ends, the closer they were to the entity. It was exactly when Qin Sheng entered the treasure house of the Judgment Holy See for the first time and found the electronic chip that recorded the coordinates of the star map, something strange happened. It seems that your footsteps are very fast, and you have already arrived here. In Qin Sheng's spiritual ocean, the giant body swayed, and the gentle and charming voice echoed in Qin Sheng's ears again. Who are you? Qin Sheng asked the question, and the giant replied, I am one of the elders of the spirit race, and the world calls me existence in non-existence. Existing in non-existing, Qin Sheng murmured. These short 4 words contain endless philosophical principles, making Qin Sheng unable to break away from that contemplation for a while. The slender tentacles of Kun and Fiken slowly stretched out towards Qin Sheng. I know what you are thinking in your heart. The spirit race has been destroyed, and I am just a remnant of consciousness which cannot last longer. But when one spirit race is destroyed, the next cycle will start again. The existence of subspace represents the entropy increase of the universe. I don't ask you to save this universe as a savior. Your life is naturally up to you. But I hope that even if you plan to leave this universe and go to a greater plane, you will leave a glimmer of hope in this universe. This is my only request. Quote. After a pause, a stream of light surged from the slender tentacles of Kun and Fei Kun, and it came towards Qin Sheng. In return, this is the key to the ultimate universe, and I leave it to you. Qin Sheng stared blankly at the square blue crystal in front of him. The consciousness of existence and non-existence gradually became blurred, and Qin Sheng's spiritual ocean gradually returned to calm. As Qin Sheng's consciousness recovered, in Qin Sheng's palm, the square blue crystal was firmly held by Qin Sheng. This entropy increase is something that every universe must face, the final extinction, the destination of all living beings. But even so, the increase in entropy is absolutely impossible to extinguish the fire of hope and pass on civilization. Quote. The voice of existence and non-existence echoed in Qin Sheng's mind again. Qin Sheng put away the azure crystal and nodded slightly. Is that so? The definition of existence in non-existence is inherently vague. What belongs to the past may also belong to the future, but what belongs to the future may not necessarily not belong to the past. Qin Sheng chewed on the 4 words, Kun, and non-Kun, but the stone tablet in front of him gradually cracked, and the stone case fell off, revealing its true appearance, a huge crystal with unimaginably detailed circuits engraved on it. Obviously, this crystal is some kind of technological creation. A technological creation belonging to the Eldar race. Qin Sheng turned around and looked at the old man. How many people are left in your clan? More than 3,200 people. Follow me out of here, and I will take you out of the sea of suffering. I would like to follow the will of the Lord. After Qin Sheng transferred all the Wahou human races out of this planet, Qin Sheng led the tactical humanoid girl to explore the entire planet, but the final result was that, except for the naturally cracked stone tablet, there was no place on this planet. There is no inheritance left on the planet belonging to the spirit race. At the same time, except for the naturally cracked stone tablet and the first stone tablet that was smashed by Qin Sheng has preserved all the remaining stone tablets with pictures carved on them. Although there may be crystals in them, Qin Sheng does not intend to destroy them. After all, the pictures on it may be the key to helping Qin Sheng in the future. The Xuanyuan creation carried the crystal and went to the abandoned nest, leaving the crystal to Anviria and Yi Shuang for research. For the sake of safety, Qin Sheng did not intend to let Anweilia and Yi Shuang come here for research, although Qin Sheng was curious about the dynamics of power on this planet. But the abandoned nest is definitely the best place for scientific research. Qin Sheng walked out of the mine vein slowly, Everything that happened today impacted Qin Sheng's brain. The spirit clan was able to lock Qin Sheng across endless years. Qin Sheng couldn't describe the feeling. The disaster of the spirit race. Qin Sheng's eyes shone brightly, chewing over and over again what Kun and Feiken said. 71%. Chapter 344. Valkia's Raid. Chapter 344 Valkia's Raid. According to existence and non-existence, even if the spirit race has been completely degenerated and destroyed, and no longer exists, there will be a second and a third group that is not the spirit race, but is better than the spirit race. In the current universe, Qin Sheng has seen the Void Dragon Clan, the Ether Dragon Clan, and more, but no matter which one it is far from being able to compare with the Spirit Clan. Even Qin Sheng is now thinking about whether the spirit race is the real leader of all races where the universe was born. Thinking of this, Qin Sheng's consciousness gradually entered the Xinghai system, and the title of the 10,000-fold increase belonging to the leader of the 10,000 clans, the master of the universe, the loading progress has reached 13.21%. It can be said that Qin Sheng is now facing the four evil gods. It can already be immune to nearly 60% of its damage. Under Qin Sheng's deliberate manipulation, Daihao civilization is also helping Qin Sheng spread the fire of human civilization in the 050 universe of the present world, so that in the vast universe, all planets suitable for human habitation, all left behind the tinder of civilization. In addition, the planet can be transformed to make it a planet suitable for human habitation, and the same is true. As long as it is an unowned planet, it can spread fire. In just a few decades, Qin Sheng has increased the loading progress to 13.21%, and at the same time, this loading progress will continue to increase. But the later it gets, the speed of this improvement will slow down. Now that Qin Sheng's power is always facing the evil god, although he is immune to nearly 60% of the damage, he can't. The evil god is too powerful. Even if it is 1% of the power, it is not comparable to Qin Sheng. Although logically speaking, the evil god is equivalent to a 9th-level monster, and now Qin Sheng can already face an 8th-level monster, but the gap between the two is like a natural moat. Maybe exploring the disaster of the spirit race can find an effective way to restrain the evil god. The flow of time in blissful heaven is the most suitable for me to use as a second stronghold. Destroying heaven is now chaotic and disorderly, and it is still impossible to make perfect use of it. In the midst of changing heaven, if Tzeentch can be completely surrendered, then my all, if you can get it, you can already top this universe. As for the days of corruption and the days of killing, Qin Sheng thought about it for a while, then shook his head. Now he is still down to earth and perfecting his plan step by step. Back at the residence, Qin Sheng arranged for Hedi to arrange a residence for the Wahou human race. During the process, Qin Sheng learned the name of the old man, Sa Rati. Today's Wahou human race has regarded Qin Sheng as a savior, and obeyed all Qin Sheng's orders. In the house, Sa Rati was sitting in front of Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng said slowly, "Are there any spirit races left in this world? According to the epic that is said in the family, there should be some." Sa Rati thought for a while, then slowly said, "The elders of the spirit race are so powerful that even Tzeentch couldn't figure it out thoroughly, and couldn't even defeat them. But that traitor, Slaanesh." Hearing this, Qin Sheng frowned slightly. Slaanesh. Slaanesh, as the last evil god to be born, can even be regarded as a child of the spirit race, but with the pleasure of lust, he completely smashed the defense line of the spirit race, leading to the disaster of the spirit race, and the spirit race has since fallen. The indescribable depravity has turned into a vast ocean of star sea-like power, supplemented into the subspace, but even so, there are a few elders who are not bewitched, and are doing their best to seal the subspace. But in the end they were still outnumbered. The vast majority of the spirit race degenerated and became outcasts in the chaos, and those few elders who had firm beliefs were also banned by the four evil gods. Sa Rati said, tearing up. Qin Sheng tapped his finger on the desktop. Where is the ban? Thousands of miles of frozen land, but the specific location has long been lost after countless years of inheritance. Qin Sheng nodded. It is unimaginable that there are more than 3,000 people in the Wahou human race. According to the timeline, the disaster of the spirit race and the fall of the spirit race have already happened hundreds of millions of years, or even billions of years ago. And the Wahou human race is hidden in that planet, and there is no document left. It is just passed on by word of mouth, and there will naturally be omissions. But it is already unimaginable to be able to leave a legacy. For billions of years, the vicissitudes of the sea and the stars will be extinguished, but the Wahou human race is lingering in this subspace. I will help the spirit race recover. As for the subspace, I will come to subdue these evil gods. As Qin Sheng said, Sa Rati made a gesture to kneel down to Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng waved his hands again and again. Take your people to find a suitable place to live, and also learn our language, otherwise I can understand you mean it, but others can't. Follow the will of the Lord. Sa Rati made a big gift and left Qin Sheng's house. A few days passed, and nothing unusual happened in the mine vein. Under the leadership of Sa Rati, the Waho human race also joined in the mining. It looks like that, but it is more capable than the silicon-based tactical humanoid girls. Qin Sheng was also happy to see this. After all, if Qin Sheng was allowed to support idlers, then the Waho human race would be completely useless, and it would be a burden to keep them around. On this day, when Qin Sheng was inspecting the mine veins, a young and humble human race saluted Qin Sheng, "My lord the emperor." This Waho human race speaks Earth language, and it is extremely standard. Qin Sheng chuckled. Learning so fast. The elder told us to study hard, otherwise we won't be able to live in harmony with everyone. Yes, not bad. Qin Sheng nodded, and the Waho people gave Qin Sheng a very high courtesy when they saw Qin Sheng, and Qin Shuri responded. At this moment, a piercing scream came, "Little bug, hide here." This voice 1.9 came from millions of kilometers away, but Qin Sheng's heart suddenly tightened. Valkia, wife of Korn, Valkia. Bursts of dark purple light bloomed on Qin Sheng's arms, which belonged to the coordinate imprint of Xuanyuan creation, destroying the sky. Elise stood up suddenly, and in the next moment, led the Xuanyuan creation. Across the void, the shuttle came to the Faka crystal nucleus vein. Valkia is also an extremely powerful existence among the 8th level demons, and Qin Sheng is his trump card when he makes a move. Qin Sheng does not intend to let any force get involved in this Faka crystal nucleus vein. The sea-eclipsed purple light could guide Qin Sheng into the command cabin of the Xuanyuan Genesis. In an instant, the illusory will throbbed again, and the void covered the location of the entire ore vein. The next moment, the Xuanyuan Genesis shot out, heading straight for Valkia. 72%. Chapter 345 Level 8 Demon. Nightmare. Chapter 345 Level 8 Demon. Nightmare. Valkia is still millions of kilometers away from Qin Sheng. Although at this level, such a distance is nothing, but after all, this mineral vein has the ability to obscure perception. Qin Sheng can't let Valkia come near the vein. If Valkia is aware of something, the next time it will come, it may be the 4 great evil gods. A Faka crystal nucleus vein is enough to cause the 4 evil gods to compete. Qin Sheng drove the Xuanyuan Genesis and headed straight for Valkia. In the distance, Valkia flapped her huge bat-like wings. Light armor covered every part of Valkia's body. She held a scarlet spear full of jagged teeth in one hand, and a ferocious spear full of sharp fangs in the other. A strong shield, with horns rising into the sky in front of his forehead, showing his identity as a corn demon. Just in time. Seeing this, Valkia yelled angrily, stretched out the spear, as if infinitely long, and stabbed Xuanyuan Genesis. Qin Sheng snorted coldly. It seems that the last time didn't let you have a long memory. Using the power of the land of destruction heraldry to make you so arrogant. As soon as the words fell, the spear was already hundreds of 280,000 kilometers long, piercing Xuanyuan Shuangshi's body surface, and the extremely sharp tip of the spear left a ravine-like scar on Xuanyuan Shuangshi's body surface. This was the first time since Qin Sheng mastered the Xuanyuan creation, his defense was torn apart so easily, causing injuries directly. My lord, that crazy woman's spear can ignore all defenses, even evil gods should be afraid of it. On Qin Sheng's shoulder, Romic yelled, and Qin Sheng's face darkened. It has to be said that in the subspace, the enemies he faced had long been beyond the scope of ordinary technology. As a product of the black magic subspace, this long spear is so weird that it is far beyond what the technology in the universe can match. On the contrary, it has added all kinds of strange weapons that go beyond the rules, and it is a rule in itself. The presence. Today's Xuanyuan Genesis has almost reached the limit of what the 3-dimensional space can carry, but even so, it will still be heard when facing Valkia's spear. The sea-eclipsed purple light can frantically circulate on the wound, repairing the broken wound. Qin Sheng manipulated the Xuanyuan Genesis to dodge Valkia's attack. At the same time, plane suppression swept in from all directions. On the front 3 rows of feet of the Xuanyuan Genesis, the dark purple stream of light bloomed, looking scorching. Dazzling. The suppressing force from a higher dimension hit Valkia like a tsunami, and at the same time almost blocked all of Valkia's dodging space, imprisoning Valkia in it like a closed loop. As the surrounding space shrinks, Galway's suppression becomes stronger and stronger. Valkia roared and swung the spear in her hand left and right, but she couldn't break the suppression of the face. Qin Sheng sneered. The battle of trapped beasts is extremely ridiculous. This blow, even if it couldn't kill Valkia easily, would definitely make Valkia retreat. In the square and transparent surroundings, the high-dimensional power even suppressed the rules and disorder of the subspace, and rearranged everything. In this orderly space, Valkia's power also matched at the same time, it was suppressed to the extreme. From the limit of the 8th level demon, he has almost fallen into the ranks of the 7th level demon. With the thought of Qin Sheng, beams of light completely condensed by sea erosion purple light energy bombarded Valkia, who had been suppressed and wrapped by high-dimensional power. In the transparent barrier of light, Valkia held up the ferocious shield in her hand, and her beautiful and charming face became as terrifying as a ghost. The power of space suddenly collapsed. Although the subspace is disordered and chaotic, when an orderly space becomes disorganized, this force is enough to shock the stars. Valkia held up the strong shield, but roared and wailed endlessly. The annihilation energy from the surrounding space made Valkia feel as if her soul was being tormented. The beam of light condensed by the sea-eclipsing purple light energy bombarded the hard shield, and a monster-like mouth suddenly grew out of the hard shield, chewing and devouring the power of the sea-eclipsed purple light energy, and the dark purple light flowed from around the shield. Bombarded towards the outside, but couldn't affect Valkia's body too much. Qin Sheng, I want you to die. In front of the Xuanyuan creation, even the 8th level monster seemed a little powerless. In the first round of confrontation alone, Valkia, the murderous goddess who was famous in the entire subspace, fell into a disadvantage. Of course, Qin Sheng didn't take it lightly. He knew in his heart that Valkia couldn't be solved so easily. As an 8th level demon, his methods should emerge endlessly, and his cards are countless. On Qin Sheng's shoulder, Ramik's eyes were filled with excitement, as if such a battle would make Ramik feel happy. My lord, be careful of Valkia's shield, it contains so much power, it can be used by it. Ramik reminded that like Valkia, there are chaos demons with a great reputation in the entire subspace. Almost every part of the world has information records related to it, and they are well aware of its many methods. Qin Sheng grinned and said, it's okay, if she really did this, it would be considered extremely stupid. As Qin Sheng's voice fell, Valkia was seen dragging the broken light armor, a large piece of spring was exposed, and in the collapsed space, Valkia suffered a lot of damage. As Valkia walked out of the collapsing high-dimensional suppressed space, the ferocity on her face became more ferocious. She held up her strong shield, and the giant mouth above the shield squirmed endlessly. After a while, as the giant mouth opened suddenly, a wave containing the sea-eclipsing purple light energy, as well as bursts of light beams that belonged exclusively to the dark power in the subspace, spurted out. The dark purple mixed with scarlet and gray stream of light is enough to annihilate galaxies and destroy a part of the universe. Here is the strength of an 8th level demon. For Qin Sheng, this blow is really ridiculous. As Qin Sheng stretched out a finger, the power belonging to the sea-eroding purple light energy was manipulated by Xuanyuan Genesis's thought power, and broke away from the beam of light that mixed several kinds of power. Although the subspace is not disordered in the true sense, the demons living here will never be able to touch order. Like this beam of light, although its power is frightening, as long as it destroys a little bit of stability, it will be fragmented. With the detachment of the sea-eclipse purple light energy, Valkia's counterattack this time also disappeared. Qin Sheng sneered. Why, do you still have a whole card? Valkia's face was gloomy, as if when facing Qin Sheng, all means were vain. After a long while, Valkia sarcastically said, how can you imagine my trump card? 72%. Chapter 346 Playing Nightmares with Me. Chapter 346 Playing with Me in Nightmares. Ramik reminded. During countless journeys, Valkia's hands were stained with innumerable spirit race blood, and gradually even killing became a kind of substance, a kind of spiritual body accompanying Valkia. He sighed. Hearing this, Qin Sheng frowned, because at this moment, Qin Sheng had seen through the eyes of the demon of the plane, and saw Valkia in the void, and there were streams of darkness flowing from her body surface. An indescribable, bloody, muddy projection. The blood-colored earth, the blood-colored sky, corpses piled up into mountains, and blood flowed into oceans. This is the actual killing state condensed under Valkia's fighting. In this domain, Valkia can even easily manipulate the enemy's thoughts, turning them into machines that only know how to kill. It is similar to the iron heart assimilation mastered by Qin Sheng, but it is much inferior and far less subtle than the iron heart assimilation. Qin Sheng glanced over, and saw that the bloody killing field was rushing out from Valkia's body crazily. Killing comes. Valkia let out a low growl, which was as ear-piercing as the neighing of wild beasts. When the syllable sounded, the entire blood-colored projection seemed to become a real space, enveloping Qin Sheng and Xuanyuan creation. Qin Sheng feels the surrounding power, which is very different from evil gods and subspaces. This is the power that belongs to Valkia alone. Even the Emperor's halo can't resist it. Straight into the spiritual ocean, killing consciousness is impacting Qin Sheng's spiritual body, wanting to completely transform Qin Sheng into an apostle of corn, but at this moment, Qin Kong, your grin. Although this killing field belongs to Valkia's power, this transformation belongs to corn. The Emperor's power melted it in an instant, and it couldn't affect Qin Sheng at all. Qin Sheng's eyes were clear, and he looked at Valkia calmly. Is this your trump card? Valkia's eyes revealed a hint of disbelief, and Qin Sheng continued, if that's the case, then obediently die. As soon as the words fell, Qin Sheng manipulated the Xuanyuan Genesis, and was about to launch the next attack, and the doubts in Valkia's eyes disappeared, and she clasped her hands together, Nightmare G. Boom. But in the blink of an eye, the entire blood-colored killing field suddenly became like a ghost, and countless corn demons were rushing towards Qin Sheng, and Qin Sheng's consciousness also fell into a trance, becoming more and more confused. There is no cause and effect. As if falling into a nightmare, Qin Sheng feels that everything in front of him should be taken for granted, and he doesn't have the slightest strength to use it. Facing the seemingly endless corn demon, Qin Sheng can only run away. The corn demons chased after him closely, but they were always not far behind Qin Sheng, and they were always only a short distance away from catching Qin Sheng. At this moment, in the command cabin of Xuanyuan Genesis, Qin Sheng's consciousness fell into a deep sleep, and was pulled into a nightmare by Valkia in just a moment. In the outside world, Valkia's fingers were intertwined, and fine beads of sweat flowed from the forehead. Obviously, manipulating this nightmare period was also a great consumption for Valkia. But killing people in dreams, using nightmare methods to completely defeat Qin Sheng, as long as he succeeds, no matter how difficult it is, so what? In the nightmare, Qin Sheng felt as if he had returned to the time when the Shanghai game hadn't even started, the ordinary people who were so common that they could no longer be common, and each of these ferocious demons behind him could easily tear himself apart and crush him into meat paste. The numb escape made Qin Sheng's consciousness sink deeper and deeper, and finally even reached the limit of this level of nightmare. Now, for Valkia, it was time to reap Qin Sheng's life. In Valkia's palm, streams of scarlet blood dripped down, condensed on the ground to form a matrix, wrapped the Xuanyuan creation, and centered on Valkia to cleanse the killing intent toward the outside world. For the great demon of corn, there are few existences who are as proficient in black magic as Valkia and at the same time are unparalleled in combat skills. In other words, only the 10 of Valkia have reached the limit from the beginning to the end. The formation rises up, and it only needs to be operated to cause Qin Sheng to receive real damage in the dream. At that time, every blow of the corn demons will truly affect Qin Sheng. And at this moment, Qin Sheng's voice came from Valkia's ears, you are still too tender for playing nightmares with me. Qin Sheng held Elise's hand in his palm, and the two stood beside Valkia. Before this, Qin Sheng had never been so close to an 8th level monster. Along the palm of Qin Sheng's palm, a beam of light composed entirely of psionic energy shot out, sending Valkia flying backwards. The next moment, Qin Sheng's figure flashed extremely, and under the guidance of the sea erosion purple light energy, he returned to the Xuanyuan creation ship. Elise's hands were tightly placed on Qin Sheng's shoulders, Qin Sheng's thoughts moved, and the plane suppressed attacking again. Valkia flew upside down, only to feel that the space around her was blocked again. At the same time, the dimension-reducing force oscillated, and the tens of thousands of miles of subspace began to tremble in front of my eyes, and the space oscillated uneasy, like a shaking white paper. The dimension-reducing force did not reduce the three-dimensional to two-dimensional, that there is no difference with two-way foil. Instead, it pulls the strike force from the four-dimensional space and descends to the three-dimensional space. Slash three-dimensional enemies with a four-dimensional knife. With both approaches, Valkia couldn't even resist. But at this moment, Elise opened her eyes, the dark purple light stream flowed, and the nightmare plane descended, pulling the dimension reduction force to strike, making the formation and the nightmare power that Valkia used just now become even more powerful. Formidable power, Zuo promised, used it on Valkia herself. In an instant, Valkia let out a heart-piercing howl. As the great demon of Korn, and also the most top existence, the physical injury could not make Valkia have any reaction system. But Elise's power actually hurt Valkia's mental body. Just now, Qin Sheng was trapped in a nightmare, and Xuanyuan Genesis helped Qin Sheng out of the predicament in just a few breaths. After all, the demons of the plane came from the nightmare plane. In front of the demon, he used the nightmare to fight against the enemy. Qin Sheng looked at Valkia in deep torment, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Perform an annihilation strike. Quote. Not at all worried about whether Korn would be furious because of this, and came to attack Qin Sheng. At this moment, Qin Sheng only had one thought in his mind, to kill Valkia, and let the whole subspace know whether he was a good mess or not. 72%. 340th chapters Big Demon Gathered. Chapter 347. Great Devils Gather. Suffering from the suppression from the nightmare plane, as well as the shock of the dimensionality reduction force, Valkia's breath is extremely sluggish now. In just a few breaths, Valkia was almost insane. As the great demon under the command of Korn, even though Valkia possessed many methods similar to wizards, she was far worse than the chaos demons under Tzeentch. The distance is more than 108,000 miles. It is precisely because of this that no matter how strong Valkia is physically, her mental body is weak. And the damage from the nightmare plane is not as simple as if you had a nightmare in your daily life. Instead, it is the horror of the nightmare ghost that Valkia cast just now, making people unable to extricate themselves and finally sinking to death in the dreamland, means. And as the demon of the plane who controls the nightmare plane, his methods are thousands of times better than Valkyrie. At this moment, Valkia is surrounded by transparent high-dimensional suppressive light barriers in all directions, making it impossible for her to escape. At the same time, the vibration of the dimensionality reduction force even caused tens of thousands of kilometers of subspace to fall into anxiety. Disorder tends to be more pure. As for pure disorder, not to mention the 8th level great demon Valkia, even the 4 evil gods cannot be grasped yet. Valkia is suffering in 613 every minute and every second, and Qin Sheng is exacerbating Valkia's progress toward death. As far as Qin Sheng is concerned, he is not afraid that Korn will find Qin Sheng afterward. This time, although he does not know where Valkia found out her whereabouts, if she does not kill others, she will be in this subspace in the future. Trouble is inevitable. He himself is an outcast other than the 4 great evil gods. It can be said that if the 4 great evil gods have the chance to destroy him, even Tzeentch will show no mercy. Only by killing to stop killing, let the dirty bugs in this subspace know their abilities, can they temporarily deter all enemies. Even if Korn is bloodthirsty and has no brains, it is impossible to lead an army to attack the ruined sky because of Valkia's death. The 4 evil gods are not monolithic. If Korn is really like this, then the hometown of Killing Heaven will be stolen by the other 3 evil gods. Before her eyes, Valkia had fallen into a state of complete loss of resistance. When she was on the verge of death, a thick and long worm full of fangs shot out from thousands of kilometers away, and stabbed at the high-dimensional suppressing light barrier. The inside cannot be destroyed, but if it is from the outside, it is as fragile as glass. As the worms crashed into the light barrier, the power of high-dimensional suppression was shattered, and a scarlet corn monster like a hairless orangutan rushed forward. There are ferocious spikes growing on the back and the outside of the arms, but the short lower limbs have claws like wild animals. He came anyway, Ramik screamed, his tone full of weirdness. What kind of monster is this? Sarah, Salah Anfangrim. Ramik's voice trembled a little. It's one of the most powerful demons under Korn, even worse than NASCAR brand. It's called the Claw of Korn. Hearing this, Qin Sheng frowned slightly. Although he didn't know where the big demons under Korn's command learned of his traces, Qin Sheng was a little surprised by the outburst of the 8th level big devils this time. Sarah looked terrifying and ferocious, and behind her was a worm tail that seemed to grow fangs. The worm tail wrapped around Valkia, who had fallen into a coma, and stared at Qin Sheng together with Sarah. There is another breath. My lord, you have to be careful. Ramik was keenly aware that there was another aura in this space, and how could Qin Sheng, who had almost reached the level of the 8th level demon in terms of psionic attainments, not notice it? Emperor, if you kill her, the blood god will be furious, and everything you set up will collapse in an instant. Sarah made a piercing CIFG sound as if a bronze instrument was knocking, and Qin Sheng suddenly smiled. Do you think when I put the blood god in my eyes? Would you like to delay the time and let your companion who is hiding in the dark take action and cause serious damage to me? I have to say, you demons under the command of Korn have brains, but you really don't have many. ZZZ. As Qin Sheng's voice fell, sea erosion purple light energy condensed on both sides of the Xuanyuan Genesis, and in an instant, a force that belonged exclusively to the high dimensional descended. After the ancestor's husk, Xuanyuan Genesis's sea eclipsed purple light energy reserve has reached an extremely astonishing level. Continuously performing big moves is not a big consumption for Xuanyuan Genesis. As the dimensionality reduction force oscillated in this subspace, it focused on the strange place that Qin Sheng's spirit could perceive. Not long after, a huge shadow rushed out roaring. Cabana! Ramik screamed again. At this moment, almost all the 8th level demons under Korn's command have gathered. Except for Skarbrand, who was expelled from the killing heaven and had lost his will, the remaining 3 8th level demons gathered together. Under the shock of this dimension reduction force, the hidden Cabana couldn't bear it any longer. Cabana's appearance is a little different from the ordinary Korn demon, with a head like a cow, 4 horns stretched out, and a skull symbol belonging to Korn entrenched on the top of the skull. With a hammer in one hand, and a slender whip in the other. The vibration of the dimensionality reduction force left dense bloodstains on Cabana's body surface, but such damage could not affect the great demon of Korn in the slightest. Qin Sheng manipulated the Xuanyuan Genesis to move slowly, and controlled the position in a position that was extremely beneficial to him. You too, want to try too? A look of apprehension obviously flashed in Cabana's eyes, not to mention the 8th level demon. Even the 5th level and 6th level Korn demons know the truth of hitting a stone with an egg. The Qin Sheng in front of him is really too powerful. Even if 2 level 8 monsters work together, they may not be able to defeat it 100%. At the same time, the fundamental reason for Sarah's attack was that if Qin Sheng were to kill Valkia, the two would have to face the wrath of the blood god Korn. This was beyond Sierra's tolerance. Now that Valkia has been saved, Sarah instinctively wants to leave. Cabana grinned at Qin Sheng and swung the hammer in his hand. Sarah shouted coldly, "Hurry up! You want to die too. I will save Valkia, but you and I will not. Why?" Hearing the sound, Cabana shook his head vigorously, and the 2 big monsters who were as huge as stars turned around and left without the slightest hesitation. In the command cabin, Qin Sheng let out a breath of foul air. 72%. Chapter 348 Find a way to remove it. Chapter 348 Find a way to remove it. Even though plane suppression can effectively control the actions of level 8 monsters, it has a drawback. At the same time, only one plane suppression can be performed. If one faces a single 8th level monster, or if 3 8th level monsters take turns to fight each other, Qin Sheng is not afraid at all. But if Cabana and Sarah are at the same time attacking Qin Sheng, even Qin Sheng couldn't stand it. Now plane suppression and dimensionality reduction shock must be performed together, in order to burst out the most extreme damage, which is enough to severely injure the damage of an 8th level monster. But obviously, the power that Qin Sheng is displaying now is enough to deter the 8th level demon and make him fearful. As the auras of Cabana and Sarah completely disappeared from Qin Sheng's psionic perception, Qin Sheng was relieved. One must be cautious in all actions in the subspace. Today, Valkia came here by herself. From the beginning, it was not the 3 big demons who came together. If Valkia calmed down a bit and brought Sarah, Cabana, and even Modage and Skarbrand to seek Qin Sheng's troubles, then even Qin Sheng had to give up this place today. Faka crystal nuclei veins. On the return journey, Qin Sheng was thinking about the next arrangement for the Faka crystal nucleus vein. This battle has definitely attracted the attention of the Tzeentch and Nurgle forces. As for Korn, Qin Sheng has no fear at all. Killing heaven and blissful heaven are not close here. If he wanted to come to get a share of the action, he couldn't affect Qin Sheng too much. The believers of Nurgle in the corruption heaven will not leave the corruption heaven easily. After all, this group of inferior creations whose heads have been filled with the corruption and plague have always thought about how to prepare a supreme substance that can purify everything. Poison. But it was not that simple to attract Tzeentch's attention. At this moment, Tzeentch's aspect is the biggest problem. As an evil god who knows everything, it is impossible for Tzeentch to not notice the battle here, and when Tzeentch is aware of everything here, he will follow the vines and find out Qin Sheng's arrival. At that time, the location of the card crystal nucleus vein is also naturally exposed. Qin Sheng was facing like this, and behind her, Elise said softly, "Try reversing time and space. Maybe it will have a miraculous effect." After Elise finished speaking, Qin Sheng's eyes widened. Qin Chen has never used the newly born ability of the demon of the plane after devouring the corpse husk this time. It is already a reversed time and space beyond the restrictions of the 7th level civilization, which is enough to bring everything here back to disorder and untraceable. Of course, Qin Sheng was not at all worried that Zinch would feel like covering up. After all, Zinch was Zinch, and when he sensed something wrong, he would think of thousands of things wrong. Qin Sheng manipulated Xuanyuan creation with his mind, and in an instant, all the chaotic flow of time and space became orderly in a breath, flowing into a long river of time and space. In Qin Sheng's eyes, there are two parallel lines running through everything. At this moment, it is not Qin Sheng who is manipulating the Xuanyuan Shuangxi, but the combination of Qin Sheng and Xuanyuan Shuangxi, regardless of you and me. Therefore, Qin Sheng clearly knows that of these two lines, one represents time and the other represents space. A few meters away from the front, the two lines of time and space are parallel all the way, but when you turn around and look behind you, the two lines are intertwined with each other, regardless of you and me. This paragraph, regardless of each other, is an established fact that can no longer be changed, and has become the past in the long river of time and space. However, the Xuanyuan Genesis at this moment, or the demon of the plane, is enough to reverse time and space. Qin Sheng's thoughts arose, and the Xuanyuan creation ship slowly turned backwards, and the two extra lines in front of him also changed from being combined into one, to being divided into two, standing on both sides, parallel to each other. Until the Xuanyuan Genesis returned to the place where the battle was just now, it was still reversing with a single rule, as if the recorded video was played backwards, but Valkia, Sarah and Cabana were missing. Other than that, everything worked until Qin Sheng drove the Xuanyuan Genesis back to the Faka crystal nucleus vein. Everything seems to have never happened, and the established facts belonging to this period of time and space have been completely reversed. The memory belonging to this section in Qin Sheng's mind has become blurred, but with the surge of the power of the demon of the plane, the blurred memory gradually became clear again. This feeling is really magical. Looking at his hands, the timeline that has been reversed made Qin Sheng feel unreal for a while. Outside of the Faka crystal nucleus vein, everything seemed to maintain the scene before he left. Glancing at the time, it was no different from when he left just now. Stepping off the Xuanyuan creation, everything around seemed to be very strange. Qin Sheng felt a wave of dizziness in his mind. Behind him, Elise stroked Qin Sheng's shoulder, and Qin Sheng felt a wave of dizziness in an instant. Peace of mind. I don't know if I can hide it from Zinch, but I think we need to find a way to transfer this Faka crystal nucleus vein. As Qin Sheng said, Elise also nodded. This location is surrounded by powerful enemies, it is really not safe. At this moment, Sarah and Cabana, who were returning to the killing sky, suddenly stopped in their tracks. Where were we just now? Cabana twisted his ferocious bull's head, and looked at Sarah suspiciously. Forgot. Why is Valkia seriously injured? I don't know. Why can't I remember anything? Sarah tapped her mouth full of fangs, but couldn't recall the slightest bit of what happened just now. Even in the depths of the sky, in the crystal labyrinth, Zinch's slender limbs entrenched in the sky drooped above a crystal light ball. He wanted to gain insight into the turmoil that had just occurred outside the territory, but found that the crystal light ball there was a trembling and shaking, and it was impossible to reflect the slightest scene. Is there something wrong with the time and space here? Rao is an all-knowing and omnipotent treacherous evil god, and he can't detect anything from the reversed timeline. It's as if when he saw Qin Sheng for the first time, Zinch saw the identity of Qin Sheng's rebirth, but he didn't know that Qin Sheng was what is the name of the first life. Oh, it's getting more and more confusing. Zinch laughed at himself. Since Qin Sheng became more and more out of control, it seemed that everything was no longer operating according to Zinch's plan. Obviously, reversing the timeline bought precious time for Qin Sheng. And in subspace, what Qin Sheng lacks most is time. In the Faka crystal nucleus vein, Hetty stared at Qin Sheng with her beautiful eyes. Think of a way to transport the 72%. Chapter 349 Move to the abandoned nest. There was a glimmer of consternation on Qin Sheng's face. Now, Zinch must have sensed that something was wrong. This Faka crystal nucleus vein must be removed, otherwise, for Qin Sheng, none of the following plans will work. Under the blessing of a 10,000-fold increase, as long as the entire Faka crystal nucleus vein is fully mined, it is enough to affect the pattern of the entire subspace. It can be said that this Faka crystal nucleus vein. It was Qin Sheng's capital to gain a foothold in the subspace. Is there any good place to go? Qin Sheng felt a little headache. In the subspace, what can be called the stronghold of the great Qin Empire now, except for Ruin Tian, is the nest of abandonment. and the time flow rate in destroying heaven is not suitable for any time-related engineering progress. As for the abandoned nest, the Faka crystal nucleus vein is extremely long, and if you want to move it to the abandoned nest, it is not for sale. Nowadays, 990 said that it is not difficult to remove the Faka crystal nucleus vein. The entire removal is just a bit of effort for the demon of the plane. After all, the mineral vein is the mineral vein, and the crystal nucleus is the crystal nucleus, mined out to be of value. But where to move it is the root of Qin Sheng's headache. Try to contact Anviria. After all, we don't know what kind of scene it is in that abandoned nest. Maybe it can accommodate the Faka crystal nucleus vein. After a long time, Heidi spoke, and Qin Sheng nodded. From now on, the best solution can only be this. There are countless dangers in the nest of abandonment, but with the existence of hobbiers, the turbulent abandonment is a serious obstacle. When the consciousness network was connected to Anviria and Yeshuang were devoting themselves to scientific research. The Faka crystal nucleus in front of them was as large as a cubic meter, and many sophisticated instruments were being disassembled. Divide its strength. Emperor, what's the matter? Anviria didn't raise her head. She was manipulating dozens of mechanical arms the size of steel needles in her hands, absorbing the energy in the Faka crystal nucleus and refining it. Seeing this, Qin Sheng didn't have the slightest nonsense. Is there something wrong with the abandoned nest? Not yet. With hobbiers in charge, all visions here will be suppressed. Anwei Lia spoke extremely fast, as if she didn't want to waste any time. I plan to use the magic of the plane to send the Faka crystal nucleus vein to the abandoned nest. Well, yes, the abandoned nest should be able to be put down. Anwei Lia hadn't opened her mouth yet, but Harbies, who was elusive, came out and said with a smile. Hearing this, Qin Sheng nodded. You guys do your research first, and I'll think about how to transfer the Faka crystal nucleus to space. With a thought, Anwei Lia cut off the connection with Qin Sheng's consciousness network. Seeing this, Qin Sheng couldn't help but smiled wryly and shook his head. This girl, it's like being a different person when you devote yourself to scientific research. Anwei Lia and Yi Shuang, who were always attached to Qin Sheng on weekdays, have changed their personalities drastically when they are working together to attack subspace energy. Even Qin Sheng's connection is not so important. After a long time, Qin Sheng connected to Elise's consciousness network again and discussed the matter with Elise. There is no problem, but it will take a long time to prepare. In destroying heaven, the flow of time is many times faster than here. Although a long time has passed for Qin Sheng, Elise seems to feel that Qin Sheng will contact him within a few minutes. Of course, compared to Anviria and Yi Shuang, who are working hard on scientific research, Elise wished that Qin Sheng could talk to her all the time. Not long after, Elise's figure stepped down from the Xuanyuan Genesis. The entire Faka crystal core vein is more than 60,000 kilometers long. According to Qin Sheng's original mining speed, it would take about a year. It can also be fully mined. But at this time was running out. Qin Sheng had no choice but to transfer the entire Faka crystal nucleus vein. It will take about 3 days to scan the entire Faka crystal nucleus vein and transfer the parcel space. Well, there should be 3 days. Qin Sheng nodded, and immediately arranged for Elise to wrap the space. Now Elise's power is enough to transfer the entire Faka crystal nucleus vein for space teleportation. For 3 days, for the subspace, there will be no changes. In Swanbiantian, not too far away from Qin Sheng, in the crystal labyrinth, countless faces appeared on Zinch's shriveled body. Qin Sheng, it seems that he is mining something. What exactly is it? The reversal of time and space. Has this human race already mastered such a technology? Countless faces were chattering non-stop, their tones full of doubts. Today's Qin Sheng, even Zinch can't see through it. The reversed time and space did buy enough time for Qin Sheng, allowing Qin Sheng to carry out subsequent mobilization of the Faka crystal nucleus vein. Call Sasoriel to come. Zinch thought a little, and in the bright crystal labyrinth, a spatial crack was forcibly opened. A hunched figure, black as ink, with huge crow wings on his back, slowly walked through it. Come out. Eternal Watch, Thesaurel. As a rare 8th level demon under Zinch's command, Sasoriel's strength is not inferior to Carlos. Even in terms of combat power, Sasor's strength is even stronger than Carlos. Think about it, if you were asked to go to a place you have never been to, and add meticulousness, why would you come here? Here, there must be something that makes me obsessed. Sasoriel held the staff that was higher than his head in one hand, and pressed the other hand tightly to his heart. He lowered his hunched body, almost lying on the ground, and said to Zinch. Zinch laughed lightly. My followers, go to this place and see what Qin Sheng is doing. Obey my God. Sasoriel received Zinch's decree in his spiritual sea. At the next moment of 2.1, as Sasoriel's figure receded, an ink blue light wave enveloped Sasoriel's body, swallowed it, and moved towards shuttle in the subspace far away. In the sky, Zinch's body was suspended above, and the many faces emerging from the skinny and withered body gradually dissipated. What kind of thing is it that is enough to make you obsessed with it, Qin? Zinch muttered to himself. Even Zinch couldn't see through Qin Sheng at all. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye, and Elise had accurately determined the entire location of the Faka mine, and wrapped it in space. The Faka crystal nucleus vein produced a loud bang. Qin Sheng looked at the scene in front of him with satisfaction. Well, I can finally be a little more stable. 73%. Chapter 350 Watching Forever, The Arrival of Sasoriel. Not long after, they disappeared into this space together with the Xuanyuan creation. At this moment, on Qin Sheng's shoulder, Ramik's impatient voice came. Emperor, hurry up, I have detected a breath of Eternal Watch. Eternal Watch? Who is this person? Ramik's voice trembled a little. The 8th level demon under the command of the evil god Zinch, even but to some extent, is stronger than Carlos. As Ramik's voice fell, Qin Sheng's eyes narrowed slightly. All tactical humanoid girls, lift the restrictions on body armor, upload to the consciousness network and save it, the next battle is beyond your reach. Facing the 8th level demon, without the help of the demon of the plane, no matter how many tactical humanoid girls there are, they are all cannon fodder. Qin Sheng's idea was conveyed to the minds of all the tactical humanoid girls, and all the tactical humanoid girls in the Faka crystal nucleus vein fell to the ground. Now that the Xuanyuan Genesis is headed to the lair of abandonment, Qin Sheng can only do his best to resist the coming Eternal Watchman, Sasoriel. On the emptiness of the remains of the Faka crystal nucleus veins, the Waho people were at a loss. 28 Before Sasoriel arrived, Qin Sheng's thoughts were introduced into Elise's spiritual sea again. Go back to the coordinates of the Faka crystal nucleus vein, and after you take these ugly humans away from here, come and help me. The next moment, Qin Sheng's figure shot out like a streamer, and went straight to Sasoriel. My lord the Emperor. There was a trace of fear in Ramik's eyes, while Qin Sheng shook his head. It's okay, it's just an 8th level monster, I can resist it for a while, enough for the arrival of Xuanyuan creation. Beside him, an Eternal Emperor-class warship galloped towards him. Qin Sheng leapt deeply. Under the wrapping of psychic energy, Qin Sheng stepped into the Qiangu Yidi-class warship. The next moment, the illusory will throbbed again. The corner of Qin Sheng's mouth curled up. I knew it. Whenever an 8th level monster appears and is enough to affect Qin Sheng's survival, the false will throb to assist Qin Sheng in fighting the enemy, although the awakening of the false will has a great impact on Qin Sheng but now there is no other way. As Qin Sheng's eyes were filled with darkness, streams of black mucus surged and flowed on the surface, covering the entire interior of the Qiangu Yidi-class battleship in a short while, and then followed the precise parts diffused toward the periphery. It's slow to say, but with just a few breaths of bowing, the entire Qiangu Yidi-class warship changed drastically, becoming extremely powerful. Under the blessing of the illusory will body, the strength of this Eternal Emperor-class battleship ushered in a huge increase. Enough. This idea popped up in Qin Sheng's mind. In any case, the big monster under Zinch's command, at least in terms of fighting, will never be able to compare with the corn big monster like Skarbrand, precisely because only in this way did Qin Chen dare to open up the idea of dealing with Sasoriel. For a moment, the shadow of a black crow covering the sky appeared in Qin Sheng's sight. Well, what elemental energy is this? The moment Sasoriel saw Qin Sheng, he was aroused by the darkness wrapped on the Eternal Emperor-class battleship. This energy was unprecedented even in Sasoriel's vision. It seems that the coordinates mentioned by my god are really strange. Sasoriel didn't even connect the Faka crystal nucleus load with the coordinates at all, but took it for granted that the covering of the black mucus was the treasure that Qin Kong obtained at the Kangjiaoyuan. After all, only the great demon of Korn knew about the existence of the false will body. After Qin Sheng stepped into the subspace, this was the first time he had fought against the great demon of Zinch. Grow. The sound of streams of current and light energy can be heard endlessly, reverberating over the entire Eternal Emperor-class battleship. After a while, a dense array of weapons rose on the deck of the battleship. Under the blessing of the illusory will, these weapons the array became more ferocious. Black light poured out, shuttled through the entire space, and bombarded Sasoriel. Even a simple electric or light energy weapon is not comparable to the blow from a higher plane of the demon of the plane, but under the blessing of the illusory will, it also explodes with a power that cannot be underestimated. Sasoriel's eyes narrowed slightly, and above the staff held by the pitch-black and sharp bird claws, a stream of pink thunder rose. In an instant, the sky above the subspace stretched for thousands of miles and descended on the pink thunder sea. The electric column descended from the sky and smashed towards the warship controlled by Qin Shang. At the same time, the staff also shot out a thunder pillar with a diameter of hundreds of kilometers, which met Qin Shang's attack. Or an AoE attack. Qin Shang stared. The thunder fell on the deck of the battleship. Although it was protected by the package of illusory will, it also greatly affected Qin Shang's judgment. The landing of each thunder stream is enough to affect the electronic operation of the Qionggu Yidi class battleship, and it is precisely because of this that the operation of the Wujing array becomes intermittent. Even so, Qin Shang's life is not in any danger at this time, but if it continues like this, Qin Shang will definitely be found by Sasoriel and kill him with one blow. After the two confronted each other, Sasoriel also knew what kind of strength Qin Shang was, and he smiled strangely. It seems that my god thinks highly of you, little bug. Sasoriel doesn't know much about Qin Shang's information. In the crystal labyrinth, Sasoriel belongs to the self-styled category. If there is no Zinch's call, he will not be revealed in the eyes of others. Of course, being complacent is based on Sasoriel's absolute confidence in his own strength. It is precisely because of this that for Qin Shang, Sasoriel only stopped at knowing his name. Most of the reasons are because Qin Shang made Carlos deflated more than once. And Carlos regards Qin Shang as his mortal enemy, and Sasoriel thinks very highly of himself, and subconsciously feels that Qin Shang can be compared with Carlos, and that is nothing more than that. So arrogant that Sasoriel didn't know what Qin Shang's whole card was, and even thought that the battleship in front of him was Qin Shang's real strength. Among the battleships, Qin Shang sneered, "Do you think this is all I have? What is the means of a mere human race? Then you are dead wrong." Qin Shang shook his head. Just after the first round of confrontation between the two, the Xuanyuan creation has returned to this space. Following Elise's wishes, the sea-eclipsed purple light could guide Zhou to the Xuanyuan creation. In an instant, the false will broke away from the Qionggu Yidi class battleship and enveloped the Xuanyuan creation. The Qionggu Yidi class battleship was instantly turned into particles in the Sea of Thunder and was smashed, but the arrival of the Xuanyuan creation made Sasoriel feel a little dread. 73%. Chapter 351 Fighting, Difficult Sasoriel. Chapter 351 Fighting, the Difficult Sasoriel. Today's demon of the plane has grown to a level not inferior to that of the 8th level demon. Even facing the Sasoriel in front of him, Xuanyuan Genesis is not afraid at all. On the contrary, under the blessing of the illusory will body, Sasoriel felt a little afraid, and did not dare to take it lightly. For this strange-looking warship, Sasor also naturally developed the common problem of Zinch, and became suspicious. The real fear is the enemy who doesn't know how powerful he is. Before coming here, Sasoriel only regarded Qin Shang as a human race who was slightly inferior to Carlos and did not know the heights of the sky and the earth, but when he really faced Qin Shang, Sasoriel felt a little bit of regret. I regretted why I didn't investigate Qin Shang thoroughly, and then came to fight Qin Shang. I don't dare to provoke that lunatic corn, but you, today I want to see who can save you. Piloting the Xuanyuan Shuangxi, Qin Shang gained confidence in an instant. He just steered the Eternal Emperor-class battleship just to delay the time and wait for the arrival of the Xuanyuan Shuangxi. Now the entire Great Qin Empire's trump card, it can even be said that all of them are concentrated on the Xuanyuan creation. If the use of subspace black magic is not broken, the scientific research level of the Great Qin Empire will not be improved in the slightest. If you want to fight the 8th level monster, there is no other way except Xuanyuan creation. However, the strength of the Xuanyuan creation has faint signs of surpassing the 8th level demon. Qin Shang's voice reached Sasoriel's ears, and Sasoriel snorted coldly, "But with this battleship, you want to keep me?" Qin Shang, you are too underestimating its mine." After saying that, the staff in Sasor's hand was raised high again, and the pink thunder sea above the subspace suddenly changed to cloudy and pitch black. At the same time, in Qin Shang's sight, as far as the eye can see, there is nothingness. As if being blindfolded, even through the Xuanyuan creation, it is impossible to fully perceive the outside world. The black thunder rumbled, and in the darkness of nothingness, the two complemented each other. Qin Sheng even had no trace of this thunder current, and could only let it fall on the surface of Xuanyuan Shuangxi. Fortunately, with the blessing of the illusory will body, otherwise, with the strength of this black thunder, it would be enough to hurt Xuanyuan creation. My lord, perform void cover. As the black thunder descended, Ramik shouted repeatedly. Under the double superposition of sea erosion purple light energy and illusory will body, the four-dimensional space covering technology has been sublimated into void covering, which is enough to pull up a barrier-like film in this subspace again to hide itself. But whether it is four-dimensional space cover or void cover, both of them are just like magic to hide themselves, and if a substantial attack falls, it will still cause damage. But feeling the impatience in Ramik's tone, Qin Sheng still did as before. In this subspace, the dilapidated and disordered space is like a carpet lifted by someone, and the Xuanyuan genesis drilled into it. The next moment, the emptiness that blocked Qin Sheng's sight disappeared, including the black thunder and the sea of thunder above the dome, also disappeared without a trace. What's happening here? Thunder is not actually physical or magic at all, but a blow damage at the level of the mental cortex. As long as you can get out of the illusion in any way, you can break this spell. At this moment, Ramik finally took a breath, and slowly explained to Qin Sheng. Paused. Ramik went on to say, I used to be loyal to Sasorial, and I have mastered many of its secret arts. Even though I am only a 5th-level demon and cannot be compared with an 8th-level demon, the changes in mystic arts and spells are all the same, and they are just an increase in strength. Hearing this, Qin Sheng's eyes filled with admiration. It was really the right choice to assimilate your iron heart back then. Ramik flapped his wings. My lord, you need to be careful. Sasorial's methods emerge and endlessly and interlock. I can't guarantee that I can predict all the forms of attack. Well, it's a surprise that you can help me once or twice, and leave the rest to me. After the words fell, the spatial tremors stretching tens of thousands of miles began to rise, and Qin Sheng, who was hiding under the surface of the void, appeared in Sasorial's sight once again driving the Xuanyuan genesis. As thousands of fine black lights scattered out, Qin Sheng directly used the dimensionality reduction force to strike. On the port side of the Xuanyuan genesis, the weapon arrays are all out, and the starboard side, under Qin Sheng's will, involves the dimensionality reduction force to gather energy. The feet swayed, and the suppression of the plane descended, as if a giant mountain was crushing on an insect. Sasorial's already crooked body twisted instantly. Compared with the impossibly powerful physical body of the Great Demon of Korn, the physical strength of the Great Demon of Zinch is 100 times inferior. It doesn't matter whether you can bear the suppression of the plane or not, the power from the four-dimensional space floods the subspace in an instant. Sasorial wailed again and again, but he held on tightly to the staff in his hand. With the light on the staff, the darkest spell was cast, and countless bent tentacles slapped from the void behind Sasorial. He stepped out, holding on and lifting upwards. The power in this tentacle is terrifying, and the presence of countless tentacles unexpectedly resisted the attack of plane suppression in a short period of time. There was an unimaginable hint in Qin Sheng's eyes. You must know that before the dimension reduction power came, plane suppression was like the prelude to an attack. Even Valkia and others couldn't resist it. It seemed powerless to fight back. But when this face-to-face suppression faced Sasorial, it actually rarely failed. Qin Sheng narrowed his gaze. What is the origin of the tentacles? This seems to come from the Well of Eternal Life, Limo Jiao. There are many monsters in the Well of Eternal Life that are even more evil than the evil gods. No one can tell clearly. The Well of Eternity. This is the first time Qin Sheng has heard this term. Although he is a little puzzled, it is the most important thing to solve this Sasorial right now. Small tricks. Tricky tricks. Sasorial roared. The attack just now had really irritated Sasorial, even as Zinch, but he was completely enraged, and his anger was terrifying. Following the frenzied waving of the staff, more tentacles surged and lashed towards Xuanyuan creation. This time it was not a mental attack similar to that of Heilei, but a real physical attack. Faced with such a summoning object, Qin Sheng knew in his heart that the best solution was to capture the thief first and capture the king first. The dimensionality reduction force was gathered properly, and as the real power from the four-dimensional space fell, Sasorial's figure suddenly stagnated. 73%. Chapter 352. Famous for killing an 8th-level monster. The 352nd chapter is fierce and famous, slaughtering the 8th-level monster. In a real sense, the power from the four-dimensional space has descended on this three-dimensional spiritual realm, and it is also an absolute doomsday blow. With the surge of the dimensionality reduction force, the square transparent light barriers wrap around Sasoriel from all directions, imprisoning it inside. At this time, Sasoriel was really flustered. Unlike the corn demon-like Valkia, she has no concept of life and death, and even feels honored if she dies in battle. Sasoriel could feel the terror in the vibration of the dimensionality reduction force, and at the same time, the fear of death had swept across Sasoriel's whole body. This is in subspace. If one dies, one is truly dead. No. In just a few fights, Qin Sheng has already shown a complete crushing posture. Facing this majestic 8th level Zinch, Qin Sheng has always stood in the upper hand. The Xuanyuan creation of the evil ancestors' husk has completely reached the peak of the 8th level demon. Within this limitation, even Valkia is no match for Qin Sheng, not to mention the Sasoriel in front of him. 870. In Sasoriel's muddy eyes, there is no longer any gleam of wisdom and treachery, replaced by panic, facing the fear of death. The corners of Qin Sheng's mouth curled up, killing this Saswar. For Qin Sheng, there was no psychological burden at all. Even Valkia, if it wasn't for Sarah and Cabana's rescue, Qin Sheng would have been able to kill her, let alone the big devil under Zinch. With Zinch's treacherous and selfish temperament, even if he killed Sasoriel himself, Qin Sheng believed that Zinch would not find him. The vibration of the dimension reduction force became more and more fierce. In the 4-dimensional light barrier, all the magic manipulations of Sasoriel were isolated, and all the tentacles stopped swinging, as if frozen in space, regardless of Sasoriel's madness, like manipulation. And as the 4-dimensional light barrier shrinks, in the end, Sasoriel's vitality is cut off, and it completely disappears under the blow of the dimensionality reduction force of the 4-dimensional space. The system notification sounded in Qin Sheng's mind after a long absence. Congratulations on getting Zinch's remaining power x1. 10,000 times increase. Congratulations on obtaining Zinch's original power x1. CIAC note. Zinch's original power is the original essence of the 4 evil gods Zinch. If this thing is absorbed by Zinch, its strength will skyrocket, breaking through the 3-dimensional limit. If the other 3 evil gods absorb it, the evil god Zinch will cease to exist, and at the same time the absorber will gain the power to understand the universe. The host cannot absorb Zinch's original power, otherwise it will be obliterated. Shanghai Game Announcement. Congratulations to the Great Qin Empire for being the first to kill the 8th level monster. Reward Z. The pattern of the Star Sea has been improved again, the end time stage has been suspended, the cosmic life community has won a big victory, and the morale has doubled. Every time an 8th level monster is slaughtered, the end of the world will be suspended for 500 years, so that the cosmic life community can improve its scientific research level. Accompanying it, in addition to the prompt sound of the 10,000-fold amplification system, there is also the system prompt sound of Shanghai Game. Qin Sheng rubbed his chin, and when he was rewarded, all the players heard harsh electrical sounds. Only Qin Sheng heard the term clearly. Voyager 1 is incomplete. When he first heard about Voyager 1, Qin Sheng thought it was the spacecraft that was launched on the Earth back then, but when Voyager 1 appeared in Qin Sheng's palm, Qin Sheng knew about it. The rewards of this Shanghai Game are beyond Qin Sheng's imagination. Congratulations on your acquisition. Traveler 1 incomplete, Supreme Divinity Fragment. 10,000 times increase. Amplification failed. Host level is too low. 10,000 times increase. Amplification failed. Host level is too low. 10,000 times increase. The incompleteness of Voyager 1 made the 10,000-fold amplification system prompt the words that the amplification failed for the first time. There was a hint of confusion on Qin Sheng's face. Qin Sheng didn't know what the Supreme Divinity Fragment was, but even if it could affect an evil god's treacherous original power, the 10,000-fold amplification system could easily create it. The divinity fragments make the system unable to increase. In the palm of his hand, a broken fragment the size of the belly of a thumb emerged. The power emanating from the broken part of Voyager 1 made Qin Sheng obsessed with it, even with a great temptation. On Qin Sheng's shoulder, Ramek was almost insane. Haldan rushed towards the fragment, wanting to devour it. Not only is the system unable to increase, but even the limitation of iron core assimilation seems to have lost its effect in the face of the incomplete Voyager 1. Ramek is almost out of Qin Sheng's control. It wasn't until Qin Sheng put away the incomplete Voyager 1 that Ramek returned to normal. My lord, what happened to me just now? Ramek shook his head, at a loss. Qin Sheng shook his head, tapped Ramek's head with his fingers. No wonder you. As he said that, Qin Sheng tentatively asked the system what the Voyager 1 fragmentation was. Before that, Qin Sheng had done the same thing when he got something with no function, but the system never heard of it. Give an answer. But this time, they responded to Qin Sheng for the first time. The remaining fragments of the Supreme Divinity. If you master 10 fragments, you can integrate the Supreme Divinity and carry out a comprehensive transformation and upgrade of the system. The existence of the Supreme Divinity is unique and cannot be obtained additionally through the augmentation system. Note: Supreme Divinity is the only thing that cannot be copied and increased in the system. It is detected that the host has been in contact with the Supreme Divinity, existence and non-existence. As these 3 paragraphs fell, Qin Sheng's Adam's apple twitched, and the Supreme Divinity seemed to be something extraordinary. In a daze, Qin Sheng seemed to have noticed something, as if the Xinghai game and the 10,000-fold amplification system complement each other, making Qin Sheng doubt the relationship between the two. The incomplete fragments of the Supreme Divinity are obtained from the Xinghai game system, and the function of the Supreme Divinity is to comprehensively upgrade the amplification system and carry out transformation and upgrading. When he was confused, Qin Sheng couldn't help laughing bitterly. Forget it, I'll think about what he does with these things. Putting away the incomplete part of Voyager 1, Qin Sheng fixed his eyes on the place where Sasoriel died just now, and drove the Xuanyuan Genesis to go there. Ramek looked at the incomplete part of the space, and his eyes couldn't help revealing a trace of greed. I'm afraid that the 8th level demon will not die completely so easily. You can devour the power that belongs to Sasoriel. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your gift. With Qin Sheng's approval, Ramek left the Xuanyuan Genesis to devour the remaining memory power of Sasoriel. In the command cabin of Xuanyuan Genesis, a faint green light group suddenly appeared in Qin Sheng's hand. It is the original power of Tzeentch. 73%. Chapter 353. The Wrath of the Evil God, an Earth-Shattering Trick. Chapter 353. The Wrath of the Evil God, the Earth-Shattering Trick. The faint green light group seemed to contain all the knowledge of the entire universe, throbbing and restless, wanting to escape from Qin Sheng's control all the time. If it weren't for the blessing of the 10,000-fold amplification system, Qin Sheng would never have been able to grasp the original power of Tzeentch. Can such a small ball of light determine Tzeentch's life and death? Suddenly, a thunderbolt appeared in Qin Sheng's mind. The 8th level demon seems to have absorbed a trace of the evil god's source power. If according to the original logic, even if the 8th level demon dies, then to the evil god, it is nothing more than a loss of source power, but with the increase of 10,000 times, this source power has reached my body. In the hands, it can become the original power. In this way, as long as I can kill any 8th level demon among the 4 heavens, wouldn't I be able to indirectly control the life and death of the 4 evil gods? Thinking of this, in the command cabin, Qin Sheng stood up abruptly, staring at the original power of Tzeentch in his hand. If it is said that the Faka crystal core veins controlled by Qin Sheng can affect the structure of the entire subspace under the multiplier of 10,000 times, now it seems that this source power is enough for Qin Sheng to completely grasp the entire subspace. But how to distribute the original power of the 4 evil gods so that they can fight each other is the key. If the original power belongs to the devoured by the evil god itself, it will completely surpass the other 3 evil gods by a level, and even be enough to rule the entire subspace in the true sense. And if it is devoured by an evil god that does not belong to it, then the strength of the evil god will increase greatly, and at the same time, the evil god to which the original power belongs will completely disappear. These 2 prerequisites are the fundamental conditions that Qin Sheng can deal with. Thinking this way, Qin Sheng leaned against the seat in the command cabin, and Elise gently rubbed Qin Sheng's temples behind him. The Emperor, now that he has mastered Tzeentch's life, my suggestion is to use Traitor Strange as an introduction, to stir up the contradiction between Korn and Tzeentch. How do I say this? First of all, Korn and the other 3 evil gods have deep conflicts with each other. Compared with Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh, Korn's creed of killing is exactly contrary to Tzeentch. It is also because of this, it is the easiest to provoke Tzeentch and Korn. Sasoriel didn't come to hunt us down, but now he is dead, and the power left behind is swallowed by Ramek. In this way, we can go to the Killing Sky and intercept Valkia. Valkia had already been severely injured in the last confrontation, so it was enough to put the blame on Sasoriel. Quote, just use the whispers of the void to confuse Nazira and Cabana, making them think that Sasoriel has taken Tzeentch's original power, and go to intercept and kill the 3 of them. Qin Sheng thought for a while, then nodded, motioning for Elise to continue. Elise coughed lightly. When this matter ferments to the extreme, we can use Tzeentch's original power to recruit Tzeentch, and threaten to donate this Tzeentch's original power to Korn, so that Tzeentch will be we do things. Listening, Qin Sheng frowned slightly, but with our current strength and scientific research level, how can we make a deal with the evil god? Whether it is Korn or Tzeentch, it is equivalent to seeking skin from a tiger. If the other party turns against him if we recognize someone, we will be the ones who die. Elise chuckled and nodded. That's right, but if things go on like this, Korn will definitely want to get Tzeentch's original power, and he will do it for us. If Tzeentch wants to get his own original power, he will also do it for us. We do. But there is definitely no communication between them, and we can reap the benefits and attract the two evil gods for our use. This kind of method is not clever, but in the subspace, it is enough to buy enough time for Qin Sheng. It has to be said that after Elise devoured the corpse of the ancestor of the evil, even her mind has become extraordinary. In just a few breaths, he thought of a plan that was sufficient to deal with the current situation. And with the help of the Faka crystal core vein, we can better control the direction of the entire subspace under the premise of the simultaneous protection of Tzeentch and Korn. Nurgle and Slanesh, these two divisions are very the demand for Faka crystal nuclei is huge. Well, yes, there is absolutely no problem with this method. Qin Sheng nodded in satisfaction, and not long after, Ramek returned to the Xuanyuan creation under the guidance of Shihai Ziguang energy. Sensing the changes in Ramek, Qin Sheng laughed loudly and said, has it really reached the threshold of the 8th level library? Exactly, thank you, Your Majesty, for your grace. Well, doing things for me is naturally beneficial. As he said that, Ramek jumped onto Qin Sheng's shoulders again. After devouring the power of Sassoril, Romek's aura became deeper, and at the same time, those bird eyes became very sharp. However, as far as Qin Sheng is concerned, Ramek is still obedient, crawling on Qin Sheng's shoulder obediently like a house sparrow. After solving the situation in front of him, Qin Sheng planned to go to the slaughtering heaven to have a cholera, and then return to the abandoned nest for his next plan. Point 0. But at this moment, in the sky, on the withered arm of the Cthulhu, dense eyes suddenly popped out, each pair of eyes was filled with hatred. Qin Sheng. You really dare to kill the 8th level demon under my command. You are so daring. Where is Qin Sheng, all the pink horrors, come out to me. Tzeentch no longer had the slightest composure. Every 8th level demon was a general cultivated with all the efforts of the evil gods. Sassoril's opponent Tzeentch seemed to have lost his right hand and right arm. Following Tzeentch's order, in the entire sky, countless pink horrors flapped their twisted wings and flew towards the outside world. Before the killing day, Qin Sheng manipulated the Xuanyuan Genesis, and even came to the entrance of the killing day one step ahead of Valkia's 3 8th level demons. If you want to fight, then have a good fight. The target of Qin Sheng's trip is directly Valkia. Even with the help of Cabana and Sarah at Valkia's side, the fusion of the false will body and the Xuanyuan Genesis made the Xuanyuan Genesis explode with a strong coercion, and Valkia's body was crushed. Most of it was shattered, and his life was hanging by a thread. Sarah, who looked like a hairless orangutan, howled, Qin Sheng. How dare you? Whispers of the void. Treacherous sophistry flashed in Qin Sheng's eyes. You have never seen me, it was Sassoril who hurt Valkia, with Tzeentch's original power. And Sassoril died under your joint efforts, the traitor odd source power lost divination. 73%. 350th chapter's live development. Chapter 354. Go live and develop. Now that Qin Sheng has stepped into the subspace, the strength of his psychic power is no less than that of the 8th level monsters, not to mention that these corn monsters in front of him simply abandon the psychic power, so they crush the two in terms of psychic power. Only the 8th level demon Qin Sheng, Whispers of the Void, has already worked. Even though Valkia was still breathing, this injury was enough to make Valkia sleep for 100 years. Even for Korn, it is absolutely impossible to repair the injuries from the 4-dimensional space. 100 years is enough for Qin Sheng to lay out and gradually annex the entire subspace. Qin Sheng reversed the space-time line and returned to the place where he fought Sassoril. Following Qin Sheng's thoughts, the next moment, the Xuanyuan creation appeared in the abandoned nest. Xuanyuan creation has landed steadily, and the entire subspace is about to fall into turmoil. Yila's August 43 inches plan was perfectly implemented by Qin Sheng. Right now, even though Tzeentch knew that Qin Sheng had killed Sassoril, under the pressure of Korn, Tzeentch would even start doubt exactly how things were going. After all, if the three of Valkia met the lone Sasariel, with the personality of the great demon of Korn, it was impossible not to make a move. But that original power is purely fabricated. Only a muscular head like Korn can believe it. However, Fang Xiang didn't believe it, and it didn't affect Qin Sheng's plan at all. For Qin Sheng, it was enough for Korn to believe that Zinch lost his original power and wanted to send his 8th-level demon to kill his wife. In the future, when this battle reaches its peak, Qin Sheng will lobby both sides to coax Korn and win over Zinch. No matter which side chooses to be hostile to itself, the other side will provide assistance. If Zinch wants to obtain his own original power, he can only recruit Qin Sheng as much as possible, otherwise Qin Sheng will directly send the original power to Korn, and Zinch will completely disappear into the world. If Korn wants to obtain Zinch's original power, he will also treat Qin Sheng as a guest of honor, otherwise Qin Sheng entrusts Zinch's original power to Zinch himself, and Zinch will directly overwhelm the three evil gods and become a more transcendent existence. Although it is said that everyone is innocent and guilty of conceiving a Bai, but it is not a thing without an owner. In this way, Qin Sheng's capital became bigger and bigger. Qin Sheng's first choice to divide is Korn or Zinch. As long as he can win over one evil god, the other three evil gods can follow the same pattern. Killing the 8th-level demon under him is equivalent to mastering his life, where the door is. If Zinch chooses to seek refuge with Qin Sheng, if he obtains the original power of Korn, Slanesh, and Nurgle in the future, he can use it to threaten the other three evil gods. Then he threw it to Zinch as a snack. In the abandoned nest, the Faka crystal core veins stretch for tens of thousands of miles, and the space of the abandoned nest seems to keep pace with it, becoming more stretched. All the facilities are in operation, and truckloads of crystal nuclei are being mined from them. With the 10,000-fold increase, it is not an exaggeration for Qin Kong to call it a rich country. When Qin Sheng's breath appeared in the abandoned nest, Hobbes twisted the space and rushed in front of Qin Sheng. Dad, I haven't seen her for a few days, but the time flow in this abandoned nest has passed for a long time, and at this time Harbys has also turned into a young girl, no longer the original little loli. Qin Sheng rubbed Hobbes's head with fond eyes. Where are Anviria and Yeshuang? The two mothers are still conducting scientific research, and the mastery of the black magic and dark energy of the subspace has reached a critical moment. That's it. Then don't bother the two of them. As he spoke, Qin Sheng took Habier's little hand, and the two of them walked side by side in the Faka crystal nucleus vein, looking at the crystal-clear crystal stones around them. Habier's talked about the trivial things that happen these days. Qin Sheng he listened to everything without missing a word. Really like a father and daughter. At this time, in the abandoned nest, apart from the Faka crystal core veins being mined, there are also the bodies of tactical humanoid girls manufactured day and night. Upload it to the consciousness network, and then inject memory to revive it afterwards. After all, Qin Sheng dare not take it lightly as an 8th-level demon, but if something goes wrong, the loss will be even greater. Dad, look. As Javiers was walking, he suddenly bent down and picked up a small fragment of the Faka crystal nucleus on the ground. In the hands of Javiers, the fragment of the crystal nucleus instantly turned into a pure energy liquid. Flowing in the hands of Javiers. This power is like the void liquid diluted dozens of times. Although the energy in it is still incomparable with the void liquid, it can be regarded as one of the rare and precious sources of energy. Javiers smeared this energy liquid on the back of Qin Sheng's hand, and in an instant, the energy liquid evaporated and penetrated into Qin Sheng's body, turning into pure spiritual energy supply. Congratulations on getting Faka Crystal Nucleus Extract X1. 10,000 times increase. Congratulations on getting Faka Crystal Nucleus Essence times 0.3. Listening to the notification tone of the 10,000-fold amplification system, Qin Sheng was a little confused. Even under the 10,000-fold increase, the essence of the Faka Crystal Nucleus has only obtained 0.3. But at the next moment, Qin Sheng's whole body felt a sense of refreshment, and his psychic attainment was further improved. Qin Sheng's eyes narrowed slightly. This improvement was equivalent to Qin Sheng's absorption in this subspace for 3 days. It's amazing. Feeling the improvement of this power, Qin Sheng looked at Javiers. Is this what I have learned recently? It was invented by Mama Anviria and Mama Yeshuang. Look. As he spoke, Javiers raised his little hand, and in the palm of his hand, there was a circle of magnetic ring. A trace of energy surged in this magnetic ring, transforming the spar-like Falca crystal nucleus into a state of liquid. Is this the research result of Anvilia and Yeshuang? 2.6 Hobbes took off the magnetic ring and put it in Qin Sheng's hands. Qin Sheng looked at the magnetic ring with great interest, and it was all precise. There are hundreds of thousands of parts, which are fused into this small magnetic ring. Qin Sheng touched his chin. It's not bad. Returning the magnetic ring to Javier's, Qin Sheng rubbed Javier's head. Let's go, I will take you to have fun when the research results of Anvalia and Yeshuang come out. I'm a little tired today, so I'll take a few days off first. Okay. Javier's was not as unreasonable as an ordinary child at all, bouncing and walking out of the Faka crystal nucleus vein with Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng returned to the Xuanyuan Shuangxi, rested in the cabin, and had nothing to say all night. In this abandoned nest, it is not bad to live and develop. 74%. Chapter 355 Subspace Great Change. Chapter 355 Subspace Great Changes. In the abandoned nest, Qin Sheng is doing scientific research with great fanfare, improving the strength of the great Qin Empire, while outside the abandoned nest, Zinch and Korn are almost driven crazy by Qin Sheng's schemes. The strategy was so simple that it couldn't be simpler, but it caused the two evil gods to fight hard. Korn naturally believed the words of Cabana and Sarah. After all, from Valkia's remnant body, Korn clearly felt the aura belonging to Sasariel. Of course, what Korn didn't know was that this aura was intentionally left by Qin Sheng. It is precisely because of this that Korn launched a general attack on Swanbiantian as soon as the 3 8th level demons returned to the killing sky. And just lost a general. How can Zinch, who is in anger, bear this anger? He even mobilized all the pink horrors who were looking for Qin Sheng without asking the reason, and dispatched the strongest general under his command to investigate Zanak against Korn. When the battle between the two sides reached its peak, Sengqi realized something was wrong. Why fight Korn? But at this time, the battle situation could no longer allow Zinch to repent. In this way, Zinch didn't even know the reason, so he fought Korn thoroughly. On the other hand, Zinch's attitude confirmed the doubts in Korn's heart even more. At this time, Korn has already determined that it was Zinch who sent Sasor to ambush Valkia and the others, and even believed that Zinch had colluded with Qin Sheng. After all, Valkia went to trouble Qin Sheng, causing him to be seriously injured. At the same time, Korn also dispatched an army of bloodletters under his command to search for the location of Zinch's original power in the vicinity of the entire slaughtering heaven. As one of the 4 evil gods, Korn naturally knows how important things like Zinch's original power are to Zinch. Korn's current purpose is to change the sky with a large army, so that curiosity can't spare energy to find the original power. Such a few years passed in a flash, and Zinch gradually knew the whole story of why the Korn army attacked him. According to the demon of Korn, Zinch, the carrier of Sasariel, attacked the 3 demons of Valkia with his original power, but due to some mistakes, he was killed by Cabana and Sarah, and Valkia he was also seriously injured and fell into an irretrievable deep sleep. Zinch was so angry that he wanted to go crazy. This was an out-and-out plan aimed at him. Qin Sheng, you bastard. I should have torn you to pieces. The crystal maze stretched out, Zinch roared. This evil god who knows everything in the universe and has existed for countless years is rare because 10 human races have fallen into such a madness. Beside Zinch, a black shadow stepped out from the crack in the void. What, regret it? Regret? No, I never regret it. Zinch's tone was full of resentment. I only hope that he is strong enough to withstand my anger. Although I can't find him now, as long as he appears in front of me, I will make him irreparable. Now, Qin Sheng not only killed the 8th level demon under him, but also took advantage of Korn's completely mindless feature, triggering a battle between the 2 evil gods. It has to be said that Qin Kong is the biggest variable that has ever appeared in the subspace since the endless years. Of course, even if Zinch broke his head, he couldn't figure out how Qin Sheng could know the existence of the original force, and even bewitch Sarah and Cabana. To this day, Zinch doesn't know where his power has gone, let alone that Qin Sheng has grasped the essence of Whispers of the Void. Although Zinch also tried to communicate with Korn, how could a fool like Korn believe what Zinch said? The response of an evil god is far from what his confidant said in person, making Korn even more convinced. Elise had precisely grasped Korn's temperament, making it impossible for the 2 warring parties to sit down and make peace. At the same time, Nurgle and Slaanesh, as the other 2 evil gods, are even more happy to see their success. Slaanesh even fanned the flames from it, making Korn even more violent. As for Nurgle, what better place to spread the plague than in battle? It can be said that Qin Sheng has stirred up the entire subspace pattern with his own power. At this moment, Qin Sheng is in the nest of abandonment, urging the scientific research and development of the great Qin Empire. The current level of scientific research has reached its limit, but in this subspace, it can be improved to a higher level. Many scientific research conclusions that seemed abstract in the material field are sufficient to operate in this spiritual field with a little modification. It is precisely because of this reason that the subspace must be a transition between the three-dimensional space and the four-dimensional space. If one wants to ascend the dimension and enter the four-dimensional space, it is absolutely impossible to lose experience in the subspace. Qin Sheng rubbed his chin, and in front of him, a huge Falca crystal nucleus had been transformed so that it completely lost its original appearance. At the same time, the 5-color boulder that was auctioned at the Natal Keith event has also been driven by Anviria and Yi Shuang into a huge engine. All the power flowing into this engine will turn into pure black magic, pouring into various devices as a pump. Now, what Anviria and Yeshuang are tackling is to transform the Falca crystal core into the original mechanical structure, and directly use the Falca crystal core as the basic parts to assemble the weapon array 463 and the battleship body. During the process of scientific research, Anviria and Yi Shuang discovered to their surprise that the loss of black magic in the process of flowing into the Falca crystal nucleus is zero, even in some huge Falca crystal nucleus. There will be a reverse growth. This does not exist in all modern scientific research. During the process of energy flowing, it will only wear and disappear in various forms. No matter what kind of container it is, it will not cause the reverse growth of energy. But in the spiritual realm, which belongs to the aspect of black magic and dark energy, it can do this. Now, the Falca crystal nuclei veins have been completely mined. When Ramak saw the almost limitless number of Falca crystal nuclei, Ramak sighed, "It is enough to buy Nurgle and let him help you have attacked any evil god." In the blink of an eye, 10 years have passed, and in this abandoned nest, there is no need to worry about the speed of time. Today's Great Qin Empire has already stood at the level of a 9-level civilization, but strictly speaking, it still has not broken away from the restrictions of an 8-level civilization. With the blessing of black magic, the Great Qin Empire reached another peak. In this nest of abandonment, Qin Sheng secretly developed for 10 years. At the same time, great changes have also ushered in the present universe. With the sharing of Qin Sheng's scientific research results, the universe even faintly shows signs of leaping towards the 8th level. 74%. Chapter 356 9th Level Civilization, the Limit of the Universe. Chapter 356 Level 9 Civilization, the Limits of the Universe. At this time, in the current universe, because Qin Sheng killed the 8th level demon, the end-time stage stopped suddenly, and because of the fight between Korn and Tzeentch, the entire Chaos Apostle under Korn and Tzeentch fell into a state of chaos, into silence. The cosmic life community got a little respite. At the same time, under the sharing of scientific research by Qin Sheng, among them, the Daihao civilization, after 10 years and 3 months, took the lead in breaking the shackles of the 7th level civilization and moved towards a higher level. High-level 8th level civilization. The breakthrough of Daihao civilization represents that the entire present universe has entered a new era. Although the ultimate universe is farther away for many civilizations, the emergence of the 8th level civilization has raised the strength of the entire present universe by another dimension. Even if it is to destroy the evil god Mara, he needs to be cautious when facing the 8th level civilization in the current universe. It can be said that the improvement of the current Daihao civilization has driven the entire universe, and there will be countless existences that can reach the 8th level of civilization in the future. You must know that these civilizations were originally stuck at the peak of the 7th level civilization, not because they could only reach this level, but because of the ultimate limitation of the universe. If they reached the 8th level civilization, they would need to upgrade their dimensions. Dimensional promotion is difficult for countless civilizations. Now Qin Sheng's scientific research results have raised the upper limit of the entire universe, that is to say, even without upgrading the dimension, many civilizations can move towards the 8th level of civilization. It is not an exaggeration to say that Qin Sheng has benefited the entire life community of the universe. At this moment, with the joint efforts of many civilizations, the present universe has become more and more stable. It has passed the end of the world, and the subspace has also become silent. Now, the only one who can cause chaos in the present universe is the destruction of the evil god Mara. Originally, there were constant troubles, but now facing Amara alone, it is not a big difficulty for the present universe. As for the subspace, after 10 years and 3 months of scientific research, finally, a new battleship that surpassed the Xuanyuan Xuangxi was rebuilt. The first test product is the Demon of the Plane. Today's level of demons of the plane has been raised again, and the system notification sound of Shanghai game is heard again. Ding! Your flagship has been fully promoted to a level 9 battleship, and the current level of the battleship is the beginning of a level 9 civilization. Please also name your first full level 9 civilized warship. Qin Sheng thought for a moment, and chose Pengucation as the new name of the demon of the plane. The monster creature transformation battleship of this phase entered the 6th level of civilization, and then there was no system prompt for the 7th level civilization and the 8th level civilization, so Qin Sheng named it. The gap between them is closely related to the gap above the level of scientific research. At the 6th level of civilization, it has almost reached the limit of this Fang universe, and the rest is the more advanced application of the applications that have been developed. Until the 9th level of civilization, the regiment produced enough qualitative changes. A level 9 civilization can not only use all available resources and energies in the entire universe, including the movement of energy in the spiritual field like this Falca crystal nucleus, but also master the use of all underlying logic. Even in subspace, today's Pengucation can already modify the underlying logic. It can be said that in order to reach the 9th level of civilization, the prerequisite for everything is to enter the subspace. Any resource, any energy, or even any application of underlying logic in the current universe cannot promote civilization to enter the 9th level of civilization. After all, the universe is not only a material level, but also a spiritual level. Combine the two into one, and the regiment grows to its true limit. Now Qin Sheng already has a place in this subspace. Battleship name: Pengucation. Battleship class: Extreme, class super battleship. Warship length: 4,200 kilometers. Width: 600 kilometers. The main body of the battleship: Demon of the plane with superimposed state coverage of regenerated ship body tissue, autonomous shield defense, energy extraction, no external armor, internal stabilization device, energy system, engine system, transition system, etc. Weaponry: plane suppression control device, dark energy blessing core ×1. Reverse time and space control device ×1. 4-dimensional space transition instrument, full body ×1. Dimension reduction oscillator, 4-dimensional near 5-dimensional ×1. Cosmic string wave manipulation bottom logic modification device, material spirit double layer superposition ×1. 4-dimensional space manipulation device, full body ×1. Sea erosion purple light energy bombardment control device, dark energy blessing core ×1. Purple light reserve. 100% the weapon device will consume the purple light reserve. Dark energy reserve. 100% the weapon device will consume dark energy reserve. Special abilities, unique technology points of organism transformation technology. 1. The supercosmic membrane breaks through the space transfer, breaks the limitation of the universe level, and can perform parallel universe transitions. 2. Inverse light speed limit cosmic membrane modification, can limit the upper limit of light speed at the cosmic level. 3. Ultra-dimensional ontology attack. This upgrade, for Qin Sheng, replaced all the components that could be transformed with the essence of the Falca crystal nucleus. Qin Sheng did not use the essence of the Falca crystal nucleus to improve his spiritual power. Nearly 1/10 of the Falca crystal nuclei mined from the Falca crystal nucleus load was added to the Pengucation. Today's Pengucation, although all the devices have not changed too much, but under the blessing of dark energy and black magic, all of them have broken through the limit. Among them, the biggest change is the shock of dimensionality reduction. Originally, Zhou Heng thought that the demon of the plane was just a product of a plane belonging to a nightmare in the 4-dimensional space, but he did not expect that the demon of the plane was even close to the 5th dimension, and even higher level organisms. As for the 4-dimensional power that erupts every time, the reason is that Qin Sheng can only use 4-dimensional power, and the demon body of the plane even needs to be reduced from high-dimensional to 4-dimensional Li Hao Hao before attacking. But now, under the blessing of black magic and dark energy, this dimensionality reduction force has been oscillating, and it has moved towards the 5th dimensional level. Now if the 8th level monster was in front of Qin Sheng, just one blow would be enough to make him disappear and die completely. In addition, among the special abilities, the super universe membrane breaks through the space transfer, and the modification of the universe membrane limited by the speed of light. After the awakening of the fixed point shuttle ability such as the space coordinate system, these two special abilities belong to the demon of the plane. On the contrary, it seems a bit tasteless. But now, under the promotion and evolution of dark energy and black magic, the two ushered in a transformation. It can be said that the current Qin Sheng has become the well-deserved master of the three-dimensional space. Restricting the speed of light and traveling in parallel universes are no longer fantasies. Descended on the paradise of paradise, ready to give Slaanesh a great gift. Quote. Qin Sheng sat in the Pengucation and said loudly. 74%. Chapter 357. The Scourge of Slaanesh. Chapter 357. The Disaster of Slaanesh. For more than 10 years, all the lost tactical humanoid girls have been resupplied. And the civilizations of Chu Xin and Nova, under the leadership of Qin Sheng, have also broken through to the 8th level of civilization. Now in the entire subspace, evil gods do not appear, Qin Sheng is the supreme existence, and all powers are far away. Beyond the current stage of the mundane universe. Now that the entire Faka crystal nucleus vein has been fully mined, the Faka crystal nucleus in Qin Sheng's hands is enough to completely fill the blissful heaven, and everything in the blissful heaven cannot do without wealth. Bring the most basic pleasures. Qin Sheng's plan is to give kindly, in this paradise of paradise, so that the people at the bottom of the paradise of paradise can enjoy the happiness they deserve. In the sunken palace, from the outside to the inside, each layer progresses, and the conflicts between each other are intensified. Especially between the outermost layer and the 5th floor, there is only a wall. It is difficult for the perishers outside the wall to even survive, while the perishers inside the wall are singing and dancing every day. Last time, Slaanesh almost took his own life, but Qin Sheng will remember this account for Slaanesh. 163. When Qin Sheng left the abandoned nest, the next moment, the turbulent space randomly transported Qin Sheng to the 5th floor. Looking at the slightly familiar scene around him, Qin Sheng couldn't help taking a deep breath. Slaanesh, Slaanesh, you didn't expect that I would return to paradise, right? On the shoulders, Romic combed the mechanical feathers. My lord, the 5th floor looks much more fortified, and there are many more sergeants coming and going on the street. Qin Sheng followed Romic's words, and glanced over. It was indeed as Romic said, that on the street, there were many soldiers who belonged to the direct line of Slaanesh. Wearing the same standard clothing, each one is a 3rd-level monster. In the sunken palace on the 5th floor, the 3rd-level demon is already the most powerful existence. Qin Sheng touched his chin, and the corners of his mouth curled up. It seems that after I left, the people at the bottom of the 5th floor became more and more uncomfortable. The arrival of outsiders put the entire sunken palace on guard. After all, in the history of the entire subspace, Qin Sheng was the first person who truly broke through the restrictions of the sunken palace and swaggered into it. And Qin Sheng patted his ass and left after committing crimes, but the rest of the perishers in the 5th floor of the sinking palace did not feel so good. The 3rd-level demons are now patrolling the streets as soldiers, and on top of these 3rd-level demons, there are probably 4th-level demons stationed on the 5th floor. The space is squeezed to a great extent. Sure enough, Qin Sheng was walking on the wide avenue, and soon heard some complaints in his ears. Damn it, these guys are patrolling here all day long. The dukes are not good mothers, they know how to squeeze us merchants now. Who says it's not? Originally, the store fee was only 30 silver coins a year. In just 10 years, I wish it had risen to 30 gold coins. It's disgusting. Let these guys get out of the 5th floor, that's the real solution. The outsider can't be caught for a long time, and when the outsider is caught, I'm afraid we will be tortured to death first. Complaints are endless, and this situation is exactly what Qin Sheng wants to see. From the outside to the inside, the sinking palace is more and more controlled by Slaanesh. Its power is so strong that the closer it is to the center of the sinking palace, the more centralized it will be. These weak perishers, on the contrary, refuse to accept it. But what Qin Sheng has to do is to disintegrate the entire sunken palace bit by bit. If one of Zinch or Korn needs one more person to be his first target, then Slaanesh, and the bliss that Slaanesh holds, CIAC, is Qin Sheng's second favorite important goals. Today's destruction heaven is turbulent and unsuitable for any degree of development, but Qin Sheng can feel that there may be treasures in the destruction heaven that do not exist in the other 4 divisions, except for banning hobbyers. But ruining heaven needs enough time to recover. When the annihilation and disorder returns to a normal level, Qin Sheng will start to completely mine ruining Tien. Now Qin Sheng is in urgent need of a real stronghold, and the abandoned nest is not the only place to go after all. This bliss is what Qin Sheng really wants. In terms of levels, above the 8th level monster, there should be a 9th level monster, but the 9th level monster does not exist in the subspace at all, and the 8th level monster is already the limit that all the big monsters can reach. According to the distinction of strength, The evil god should be regarded as a 10th level monster, but because there is no 9th level monster, both the 9th level monster and the 10th level monster can be used to describe the evil god. The Great Qin Empire has reached the 9th level of civilization, and can master all the rules. At such a level, Qin Sheng can't find a suitable word to describe it. If it has to be described as accurately as possible, it is a god. Now Penghu Cation has become the main battleship of the Great Qin Empire. As for the other scientific research ships and engineering ships under its command, they have also broken through the shackles of the Qianggu Yidi class and reached a higher level. In this subspace, Qin Sheng also had a place. Step by step, Qin Sheng gradually came to the high wall between the 5th floor and the 6th floor. To enter the 5th floor, he needed various identification documents and the assistance of others. Layer into the 6th floor, no one will take a second look. Qin Sheng swaggered away from the 5th floor, looking at the devastation on the 6th floor. The corners of Qin Sheng's mouth couldn't help but curl up. In this 6th floor, the countless perishers are all high-ranking officials and nobles who once fell into the palace. Although ordinary people account for the vast majority, there are absolutely many such high-ranking officials and nobles. Now they have declined. This 6th floor, which is almost abandoned, has fallen into endless sinking and torture. Qin Sheng believes that if these people are given enough Falca crystal nuclei, there may be a chance for a comeback. In a basin, Qin Sheng saw that in the deep pit, there were about hundreds of thousands of perishers lying in a mess. Qin Sheng stepped in the sky, his fingers slightly opened, one by one Falca the crystal nucleus, like rain, fell from the sky and went straight into the basin. Immediately afterwards, Falca crystal nuclei fell crazily like a torrential rain, and within a short time even the basin, which could accommodate hundreds of thousands of sinking people, was full. And for Qin Sheng, he didn't even need to blink. These hundreds of thousands of perishers have completely fallen into madness. 74%. 350th 8 chapters Frantic Sinking Palace. Chapter 358. Frenzy and Sinking Palace. As the most expensive currency in the subspace, Falca crystal nuclei are equivalent to 10,000 gold coins. You must know that at this time, the merchants on the 5th floor are still struggling with the rent increase, but on the 6th floor, rain of crystal nuclei has already started. Qin Sheng's figure was covered by the void, completely invisible to the perishers on the ground, but Qin Sheng's voice emerged in the hearts of every perisher, with a strong, bewitching meaning. Even in the face of these perishers, Qin Sheng chose to use whispers of the void. I am the true god of this world. Slanesh took away my palace and made you look like this. I can't bear it. Among you, there are merchants who used to be wealthy, some powerful dukes, and ordinary people who walk in the streets, but without exception, they have all become the most humble perishers and are at the mercy of others. These Falca crystal nuclei are enough for you to make a comeback and help me regain the fallen palace. Under the blessing of the whispers of the void, these perishers not only became crazy, but also became more and more fanatical. He thought that the real gods in this world began to help him. Once people have faith, it is quite scary. Qin Sheng's bewitchment made these perishers even more insane and frightening, and this is exactly what Qin Sheng wanted. Such a large amount of Falca crystal nuclei, although there will be no problems when they just flow into the market, but when they all flow into the market, it will definitely cause turmoil in the entire sunken palace. Mobilizing the emotions of the people at the bottom of the 6th floor is only the first step of Qin Sheng's plan, and every next step is linked together, bit by bit eating away at the sinking palace. With Qin Sheng's current strength, even if he fights Slanesh face to face, even if he loses, Qin Sheng is confident that he can leave if he wants to, and stay if he wants to. In this first round of plans, Qin Sheng intends to completely annex the 6th, 5th, and 4th floors of the sunken palace and turn them into his own forces. At that time, I am afraid that blissful heaven will become a joke in the entire space. His own territory was split into two by Qin Sheng. As for Qin Sheng's approach, there was obviously nothing wrong with it. In a trance, Qin Sheng only felt an inexplicable force surge in his body, mixed, muddy, and chaotic. This power disgusted Qin Sheng a little, but it also greatly improved Qin Sheng's psychic attainments. In an instant, Shanghai Games system prompt sounded. Ding! The heterogeneous public opinion is activated. The emperor of the Great Qin Empire stripped away the public opinion of the sunken people on the 6th floor of the sunken palace of paradise in the subspace. The power of Slanesh was weakened, and the morale of the Great Qin Empire increased. Qin Sheng blinked. Different opinions. When he was in the Milky Way, Qin Sheng's Great Qin Empire was notorious. At that time, he hadn't completely distanced himself from other Shanghai players, and hadn't derailed. Now Qin Sheng is millions of times ahead of other Shanghai players. There is no comparison between them at all. But during the Milky Way period, Qin Sheng's great Qin Empire also recruited some younger brothers. At that time, there was indeed a force similar to public opinion, which was strengthening Qin Sheng's strength. Unexpectedly, now in the subspace, such a situation will happen again, and the power zone is still snatched from Seilei's hands. This made Qin Sheng feel exciting even thinking about it. Although the strength of these lowest perishers might not be very gratifying, even if the power of Slaanesh is weakened, it will not be weakened there, but at least Qin Sheng saw a way to go. If this rhythm continues, until Qin Sheng completely enesses the fourth floor of the sunken palace, then Slaanesh's strength, even if it is not weakened by half, is at least 20 to 30%. What's more, in the past 10 years, Qin Sheng, relying on various titles, is now almost 80% immune to the evil god's damage. Over the course of these 10 years, the master of the universe has grown crazily. After all, the birth of the 8th level civilization has once again increased the speed of civilization spreading, and now the growth title task of the Lord of the Universe is almost being helped by Daihao civilization to perfect it. Its progress has reached 30%, which is extremely unimaginable. Now in the current universe, almost all the planets suitable for the development of human civilization have been sown with the fire of civilization, and with the help of Daihao civilization, civilization has multiplied. 30% has almost reached the limit that the master of the universe can achieve. Although it is a growth title, it is absolutely impossible for this title to reach 100%. But even so, with the immunity brought by these titles today, if Slaanesh's strength can be weakened, then after completely occupying the fourth floor of the sunken palace, Slaanesh will become Qin Sheng's exclusive RBQ. In this way, Qin Sheng was born in the entire sixth floor sunken palace, and began to sprinkle Faka crystal nuclei wantonly. Tens of millions of perishers, after obtaining these Faka crystal nuclei, spontaneously formed a force. Qin Sheng acted as a pusher in the dark, and began to confuse these perishers with the power of the Whisper of the Void. In the end, all the tens of millions of perishers were taken over by Qin Sheng. As for the other scattered perishers scattered throughout the sixth floor, Qin Sheng didn't care. With this great power, all the perishers are about to be mobilized. After all, there are countless Faka crystal nuclei sprinkled by Qin Sheng. At the same time, Qin Sheng didn't care about the lives of these perishers. In any case, these guys are chaosbringers, fallen people who surrendered to Slaanesh's feet and sold their souls. The entire sixth floor is just the beginning to promote the development of Qin Sheng's plan. If Slaanesh uses thunder to suppress and slaughter all these perishers, but the leakage of the Faka crystal nucleus will definitely attract the attention of the people at the bottom of the fifth floor. At that time, a large number of Faka crystal cores will emerge. However, such high-grade currency as the Falca crystal nucleus is always in the hands of officials and nobles. Ordinary sinking merchants are not qualified to touch them. But the market is becoming more and more chaotic. The Falca crystal core is in the hands of high-ranking officials and nobles, but the prices will inexplicably rise by leaps and bounds, which makes these merchants who are already full of complaints even more resentful. Why do those wastes on the sixth floor get so many Falca crystal nuclei for some unknown reason, and we have to bear the final consequences? With such thoughts together, Qin Sheng can proceed to the next step of manipulation. One link is closely linked, and the general direction is absolutely impossible to go wrong. The sinking palace is full of loopholes, only one pusher is missing, a little force is enough to cause the entire sinking palace to collapse. But at this moment, in the deepest part of the hexagonal palace, Slaanesh turned over suddenly, with angry fire in his eyes. 75%. Chapter 359 is the subspace also inflated. Chapter 359 is subspace inflation. Qin Sheng, it's damn Qin Sheng again. You bunch of idiots, what are you doing on the fifth floor? Damn it all, including all of you. On Pink's soft fur blanket, Slaanesh roared angrily. As the ruler of the entire paradise and sinking palace, Slaanesh could naturally feel Qin Sheng's appearance. Compared with the last time, Qin Sheng this time was even more blatant, without even a little bit of concealment. And in a trance, Slaanesh's figure softened, and he collapsed on the soft blanket, panting heavily. Already how many years old, Slaanesh did not show this appearance, and the surroundings were immersed in joy. The great demon Slaanesh didn't dare to show his breath, for fear of arousing Slaanesh's wrath. At this moment, Desara twisted her waist, came from outside the door, 667, coiled herself on Slaanesh's body, and when a sense of coolness swept over Slaanesh's body, Slaanesh felt a little bit better. Ease. My power is passing away, and it was stolen by that thief, Qin Sheng. Slaanesh wailed in a low voice, with a hint of grievance besides resentment in his tone. Desara fondly stroked Slaanesh's face. It's okay, it's just a few refugees on the 6th floor. Since Qin Sheng didn't die there in the abandoned nest, then the servants will solve him with their own hands. What does the prince think? Desara's voice is charming and beautiful. Even if it is replaced by an ordinary man, this voice alone is enough to move his heartstrings. Hearing this, Slaanesh shook his head. He is no longer something you can solve. Desara froze. The prince means. I've known for a long time that this little bug, Qin Sheng, didn't die in that abandoned lair. Do you still remember the battle between Zinch and Korn? Of course. It has been going on for 10 years, and this battle is really long. It was the battle that Qin Sheng managed. What? There was a hint of disbelief in Desara's eyes. In any case, Desara couldn't imagine how a mere human race could provoke a fight between two evil gods. Even Desara now thinks that there was a conflict between Korn and Zinch's demons, which eventually led to Korn's relentless attack on Suan Biantian, which intensified the conflict, causing the two sides to be completely at odds. Slaanesh shook his head. I don't know what method Qin Sheng used to confuse the 8th level demon Sela and Cabana under Korn's command, but what I can be sure of is that Sasoril and Valkyrie Ya, all in the hands of Qin Sheng, died or were seriously injured. As soon as this remark came out, Desara showed a look of astonishment on her face. This great demon of Slaanesh really felt the fear from the description in Slaanesh's mouth. Valkia, as the wife of Korn, is second to none among the 8th level demons in the entire subspace. As for Sasoril, although his strength is not comparable to Valkia, he is also a traitor. One of Chi's right-hand men, his strength is unfathomable. And of these two, one died in Qin Sheng's hands, and the other fell into a coma now. Even Korn couldn't wake him up. What kind of power did Qin Sheng possess? At the same time, I can feel that a large number of Faka crystal nuclei are pouring into the paradise of paradise. Slaanesh's eyes filled with resentment again, and Desara asked in surprise, could it be Qin Sheng brought it? Well, there is something to eat. Isn't this a good thing? Good thing. HMPH, if this continues, I'm afraid the next one to fall will be the 6th floor. The particularity of the Falca crystal nucleus has led to the fact that it must be a currency that circulates in the hands of high-ranking people, and because of the energy in it, it is impossible for the Falca crystal nucleus to depreciate, let alone the influx of hundreds of millions. It is the influx of billions will eventually return to peace. But when there are more Falca crystal nuclei, correspondingly, the price between copper coins, silver coins and gold coins will become lower. Because, no matter what, it is impossible for the Falca crystal nucleus to flow into the hands of ordinary people, but for transactions between high-ranking officials and nobles, even though it is based on the Falca crystal nucleus, it is necessary to pay attention to its fundamental value. In the hands of high-ranking officials and nobles, one Falca crystal core can be equivalent to 10,000 gold coins, but when the number of Falca crystal cores increases, the price will not decrease, but will increase. After all, if the value of a Falca crystal nucleus decreases, it will be the dignitaries and nobles who will lose. It is precisely because of this reason that if there is more money, it will squeeze the bottom people even more. Qin Sheng grasped this point accurately, causing the entire blissful heaven to fall into uneasiness. And Slaanesh is not an idiot. Such a conspiracy, Slaanesh can see it, but what's the use of seeing it? Right now, Qin Sheng has finished donating the 6th floor of the sinking palace, and all the sinking people have fallen into a frenzy because of Qin Sheng. In the next step, Qin Sheng is probably going to attack the 5th floor of the sunken palace. At that time, Slaanesh is really about to start losing. This bug, where did so many Falca nuclei come from? Slaanesh howled sometimes, roared sometimes, for a long time, but couldn't get along with the corresponding countermeasures. The best and easiest way now is to take out more Falca crystal cores and fight against Qin Sheng, just like a trade war, but the problem is that Slaanesh is not willing to use this Falca crystal core at all. Take out the core and hand it over to those wine bags and rice bags on the 5th floor. I am afraid that only when Qin Sheng is annexed to the 3rd floor, Slaanesh will truly open the treasury and confront Qin Sheng. But how many Falca crystal nuclei Qin Sheng has, Slaanesh has no way of knowing. At this time, Slaanesh still doesn't know that a real disaster is about to sweep across the entire paradise of paradise. And the root of this disaster, on the one hand, is that the paradise of paradise is already rotten. From the inside to the outside, everything is a country based on happiness. Qin Sheng happened to be the one who could exert force. 2.8. As the news of Qin Shang's appearance in the paradise spread like wildfire, Zinch also fell into a rage. This war with corn has been entangled for 10 years, and the culprit is still at large in the paradise of Elysium. How can Zinch not be angry? Of course, Zinch was weak at this time, and the army of corn had already swept across the entire Subiantian. For Zinch, it was fundamental for this stupid ass of corn to let go of his hatred and speak up. In Paradise of Bliss, Qin Shang couldn't help feeling amused when he saw tens of millions, maybe even over 100 million perishers, dividing up the Faka crystal nucleus with each other and marching towards the Palace of Perdition. It can be said that for Qin Shang, he didn't even pay anything. But the sinking palace is about to truly sink. 75%. Chapter 360. Let's go and see Korn and Zinch. Chapter 360. Let's go see Korn and Zinch. Everything is going according to Qin Shang's wishes. The 5th floor of the sunken palace was captured by these refugees not long ago. With the Falca crystal nucleus, no one can stop them. The guy who has already been depraved is even more open-minded when he sees money. When countless refugees poured into the 5th floor and began to consume lavishly, the entire 5th floor also began to be in turmoil. A large number of Falca crystal nuclei poured into the market, and the exploitation of the upper layer made the gold coins more and more worthless. And among the refugees, there are indeed many former high-ranking officials and nobles. They know the character of these high-ranking people better, so as early as the beginning, they ordered all the perishers to spend a small amount of Faka crystal cores in their hands, in exchange for enough gold coins to enjoy. More Faka crystal nuclei are in the hands of these perishers, and they are used as capital for negotiations with the entire 5th level high level. Of course, with the influx of this part of the Faka crystal nucleus, the entire 5th floor has been caught off guard. Today, these former refugees have become gamblers with chips in their hands, and they have been promoted to rank and control a party's power in this 5th floor. The vast majority of the perishers, led by a small group of perishers, nearly 28 occupied almost the entire 5th floor. Even if Slanesh ordered to rectify the 5th floor, it was useless. A sufficient amount of Faka crystal nuclei even made these bottom-level existences in the 6th layer, and now they are in harmony with the 4th-level demons in the 5th layer. Even if the entire 5th floor has not yet fallen and belongs to Qin Shang, it is almost the same. On this day, Slanesh dispatched 3 6th-level demons to step into the 5th floor and began to kill the refugees, regardless of all the perishers who had recently entered the 5th floor. These 4th-level demons with good relations with refugees were not spared either. As for the Faka crystal nucleus remaining in the entire 5th layer, Slanesh dared not even move it. Today's Slanesh is simply not sure how many Faka crystal nuclei Qin Shang has in his hands. If they take it away this time, will they still take it away next time Qin Shang repeats his tricks? Going down several times, even if Qin Shang doesn't do anything else, the entire 5th floor will strip the hearts of the people. It can be said that this strategy is more than money. But Qin Shang no longer focused on the 6th floor after all these refugees died. The news of this massacre will definitely reach the ears of the perishers on the 6th floor within a very short period of time. At that time, Slanesh and the perishers on the 6th floor will have no chance of easing up, and the 6th floor will completely become Qin Shang's territory. Beginning on the 4th day of the Slanesh massacre, Qin Shang secretly met Anka Blind, the duke who had recruited himself to help him enter the Delch's Fest. When Anka Bilu saw Qin Shang for the first time, Anka Bilu trembled all over his body. Qin Shang's identity was exposed at the beginning, and Anka Bilu, who was the closest to Qin Shang, was almost sentenced to death. Fortunately, Anka Blind Lu had a lot of money in his hands, and almost emptied out 90% of his family property, so he bought his own life back. But now, Qin Shang appeared in front of Anka Bilu again. How could Anka Bilu not be afraid? My lord, I beg you, don't torture me anymore. I'm no longer a duke. I'm just an ordinary perisher. Please let me go. Let me live, please. Anka Bilu knelt down to Qin Shang with a plop. Qin Shang didn't have any emotion in his eyes. He just asked, "Do you hate me?" Hate, but I don't hate anymore. I just want to live in peace and stability. Then do you hate Slanesh? Hate. If it wasn't for Slanesh and those big demons under his command, who would have sucked my bones and marrow, how could I have ended up like this? The perishing person is like this. If anyone makes him suffer a point, then he can't wait to score 10 points. Anka Bilu said that he didn't hate himself, but Qin Shang didn't believe it at all. However, Anka Bilu's hatred for Slanesh must be real. As long as you have malicious intentions towards Slanesh, that's enough. Enka Blind Lu is the key chess piece for Qin Sheng to annex the entire 5th floor. If I say, I give you a chance to make a comeback, are you willing to seize it? Become the leader of the entire 5th floor, even the 4th floor, and even the 3rd floor. Watch me step by step and step on Slanesh. The dark purple light in Qin Sheng's eyes flickered, and Enka Blind Lu was slightly taken aback. These days, the turmoil among the refugees on the 6th floor was caused by you. It's what I handle. Enka Bilu gritted his teeth, pondered for a long time, and then said loudly, catch it. Catch it. Qin Sheng took out a Faka crystal core and placed it in front of Enka Bilu. The next moment, Qin Sheng's figure disappeared. Even though Enka Bilu is no longer the glory of the past, he is not completely poor and white. Some people don't understand why Qin Sheng put down a Faka crystal nucleus. But when Enka Bilu picked up the Faka crystal nucleus, he was frightened and fell to the ground with a plop. Seeing that inside the fragile outer wall of the Faka crystal nucleus, there is crystal clear essence flowing. This single Falca crystal nucleus is equivalent to hundreds of thousands of ordinary Falca crystal nuclei. Enka Bilu looked around, put the Faka crystal nucleus in his arms, and sneaked away. In just a few days, in the sunken palace on the 5th floor, Enka Bilu returned to the position of Duke 203. Relying on the Faka crystal nucleus left by Qin Sheng, he managed the entire 5th floor step by step. Layers of sinking palace. Of course, 10 years later, the entire Duke system has changed drastically, and very few people still recognize Enka Bilu. As for Slanesh and the rest of the great demons, they never take Enka Bilu seriously. Because of this reason, as long as there is enough wealth, Enka Bilu can easily return to the position of Duke, but at the same time, it is also because of this that Enka Bilu's hatred for Slanesh and even many big demons is even more important. It cannot be added. Seeing that the situation was progressing step by step according to what he thought, the corners of Qin Sheng's mouth could not help but curl up. After a while, Qin Sheng returned to the nest of abandonment under the guidance of the Pengu Cation. Sitting in the Pengu Cation, Qin Sheng thought for a while, let's go and see Korn and Zinch. This big move is about to come to an end. If there is no evil god to back him up, what Qin Sheng did in the paradise of paradise would be useless. Only with a strong backing can Slanesh dare not act rashly, and the plan to annex bliss can be carried out steadily. Before the sky changed, the Pengu Cation was entrenched on its sky. In this originally psychedelic sky, corpses are scattered across the field at this time, and the places where the Korn army passes by are like locusts passing through, and not a single blade of grass grows. Through, and not a single blade of grass grows. Through, and